This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there, live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to something a little different, a little new, a test, if you will. Wrestling Insiders Week in Review. I'm Dan Marani here at MWF Studios, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, in the zip code of Champions 02176. It is literally freezing out on this Saturday night. Hopefully it's warmer where you may be, or you're relaxing somewhere to enjoy some wrestling talk. If you're unfamiliar with Boston Wrestling MWF and what we're doing in these coronavirus times, without being able to hold live in-ring wrestling events, we're expanding our in-studio shoot interview talk show series. We have not one, not two, not three, but 4 big episodes every Tuesday through Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday nights at 10 p.m., we have the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Always have a lot of fun with Tony. On Wednesday nights, it's Wrestling Insiders Special Edition with rotating WWE legends and Hall of Famers. Thursday nights, it's Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty as Marty Jannetty breaks down his no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll look at the 80s and 90s. Put the women and kids to bed. Then Friday nights after SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays with the former Raw main eventer's unique point of view. Between those 4 weekly talk shows are 3 WWE and AEW TV review podcast-style programs, our flashback videos, our daily history videos, our live specials. That's a hell of a lot of time to dedicate to any program on any platform. During Corona times, the evenings can be quiet. Depending upon where you live, there might not be much going on, so we're going to take our 4 weekly episodic talk shows and combine them into one-stop shopping to catch up on 4 unique points of view on the king of sports professional wrestling. We really want to try to pump up the Facebook numbers, as the followers we have on Facebook is almost heartbreaking compared to Twitter and YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, please, and I say please in all capital letters, share with your friends, share this link in pro wrestling-themed Facebook wrestling groups. Our mission is to keep professional wrestling legends working during the worst of times. And unless you're under a WWE or AEW contract right now, the worst of times is right now, with legends and veterans that have been out of work going on 10 months since the coronavirus began. Live wrestling events canceled, autograph signings canceled, Fan Fest canceled. It's been tough. It's been tough on so many great men and women that have given their lives for wrestling fans' enjoyment. You can also get early ad-free access to these programs, along with our world-renowned studio shoot interview DVD library that's been seen by millions online and millions more on The Howard Stern Show, plus exclusive content, all while helping keep wrestling greats working at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Over 100 studio shoot interviews, not lousy-looking Zoom talks and chats, in-studio shoot interviews, all for less than a cup of coffee down at Starbucks. Give it a try. Die-hard wrestling fans will love it. Without further ado, let's kick off this premiere, or maybe it's better to describe it as a pilot, as we're going to have some kinks probably to work out on Wrestling Insiders Week in Review. It's Mr. USA Tony Atlas shooting on Keith Lee, Mace of Retribution, Otis, and other big men sent back to the WWE Performance Center for some fine-tuning. All right, Tony, it is Tuesday night. Welcome back as you continue to go through that bag of yours. You love to, I don't know what you spend more time doing, eating chicken wings or going through your bag?
Well, I go through my bag because what I do, I walk down the street and I bump into people and I pickpocket them.
You pickpocket them?
Yeah, I take their money, yeah.
Well, you wouldn't get much if you did it to me, so.
Well, I ain't got much for people I pickpocket. I do it to homeless people. No, I'm joking.
All right, Tony, a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling, WWE right now.
is they look at one of the problems that I think they have as far as the credibility and believability of the product with some of their big men. I guess Vince McMahon recently had an explosion about several of the bigger talents that he has on the roster and has ordered them back to the Performance Center, even though they are active television talents.
Like who?
To try and improve themselves. Well, Mace of the Retribution faction, which is a complete disaster, has been asked to go back. Big Keith Lee, someone that had a lot of promise and was put in main events when he debuted over the summer. AJ Styles, giant, monstrous, 7-foot-some-odd bodyguard, as well as the man that likes to go, Otis.
It's not going to happen.
What do you mean it's not going to happen?
Because it all comes down to that one thing.
What is that?
Vince took the believability out of wrestling.
So there's nothing he can do to make any of these people believable now.
He had to start all over again.
Well, if you were him and you felt these talents were a failure, would you send them back to the Performance Center for training, or what would you do? Release them? Would you release them?
No.
What would you do with them?
I would put them in house shows.
There's no house shows right now.
I know, but this is how I would train them. I would put them in front of a house show. You ask me what would I do? That's what I would do. That's his choice not to do house shows. Because he do virtual house shows. He could do that.
You think they should do virtual house shows?
He could do virtual.
Well, maybe that's not a bad idea.
Virtual house show. And then, this is how I would do it. You really want to know? You want to know?
Yes.
All right. Let's say me and you going to wrestle.
All right.
I do it all old
Hell of a
school.
match.
I do have to. See what happened. See, Vince hot shot the territory. We call that hot shotting what he did. But then when the business go down and the ticket sales go down, the old timer, they would say, go back to the basics. Vince never went back to the basic. AEW never did the basis. The basis is your foundation. That's where you build your clientele. That's where you build your believability. This is what I do. Let's say me and you got a match. I would go back to having a separate dressing room first of all. Be separate dressing room.
How would that help?
We did it like that for ever since the beginning of wrestling, except for the past, 40 years, for the past 30 years.
But how would that help the in-ring product?
If you let me get to the
I'm sorry, I apologize.
If you let me get to the end
I
there,
apologize.
Mr. Dan Marella, Boston Wrestling superstar, producer, and CEO. Now, first I put you in a different dressing room.
All right.
Then I would do it just like we did it. I have the referee to go over and say, they want you to put over so-and-so. They would go to so-and-so and say, what you want to use for a finish? He would tell. He'd go back to the guy, he's going to use this. This is what they're going to do. Now you don't have a strip to go by. You have to wrestle by instinct. And that's what made it look believable. Nothing is planned. Nothing is scripted. So what's going to happen in the ring and what would happen in real life? People could follow that more because it's coming from this person's instinct. Mm-hmm. It's not coming from a strip that nobody would go by. If you're in a real fight, not in 1,000 years, you're going to turn your back on somebody. You ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
But if it's not in the strip, you're going to do what comes natural to you. So the match is going to look more natural. That's why they had separate dressing room in the olden days. I used to hate talking to my opponent before the match. I used to always hated that because I can't get that feeling like you're in a real fight, the nervousness. You get ready to go in competition and you're strutting around the ring and you relax. People can see the relaxation in your face.
You should be tense. You should be nervous.
If it's for real, who gonna go into a fight relaxed?
Ready for the element of surprise.
Yeah, sitting around strutting, and you can see the relaxation in them. You look at the end of the show, they're very, very relaxed. There's no fire, no energy. They're just going through the motion. Because what they do, they're thinking about the next move. They're not working the people, they're not working the crowd. They don't have that natural instinct working for them anymore. And that's what people saw. When you look at the old matches, you can see the guy kind of, just like you do in a real fight. In a real fight, you're not going to go run up and lock up on nobody. You're not going to do that. You're going to be a little tense about how you're going to go into it the way the people in the audience would go into the lockup. You're going to grab a hold the way the guy in the audience would grab a hold. You see what I'm saying? You're going to work more by instinct, less by strip. That's what I would do. And I would do that, and I would show it. I do it in different places. I wouldn't always do it in the ring. I do it in a bar.
In a bar?
Oh, yeah, these bars can't operate now anyway. They're losing their fucking ass right now. I rent a bar.
Empty bars? You do virtual live events?
Well, I would get some of the wrestlers to play customers. A couple of wrestlers to play customers. And we do it in different events. It's like a street fight. The guy come in, he having a beer, and he look down there, just like Matt Dillon. And he look down the end of the bar, and he see the guy, he say, hey, I'm supposed to have a match with you. Find yourself another bar. I found this bar first. I was supposed to have a match with you at pay-per-view. Why don't you leave the bar? Well, why don't you put me out? You really want me to? And then the guy said, wait a minute, guys, save it for the ring. Screw that, man. I'm going to whoop his ass now. I can't wait for the ring. But there's no strip. That's the only strip. Just tell them you're going to be in the bar. When you see your friend, and let the guy talk normally for a frickin' change. People don't talk like that in real life.
They don't use the verbiage that people use in normal conversations.
That's why Trump was so popular.
Yeah.
He sounded like everybody else. Nobody talks like Obama. Nobody talks like that.
Like sleepy?
Yeah, well, I would never call him sleepy.
Why is that?
Because then you got to admit that he won and didn't even have to wake up to do it.
That's a good one. I like that.
He beat him in his sleep.
He beat him in his sleep.
You lucky he didn't wake up.
Or he really would have trounced him, right? If he was awake.
God, he would have left Earth.
And isn't it funny? I haven't heard that nickname in a while now.
But yeah, because he woke up.
Yeah.
They should have let him say woke. All right, they would have been fair. But you see, what the people felt that. Because you do everything the way you would normally do it. And that's why they didn't let the wrestler talk, so they could plan anything. You had to plan it in the ring, which made it more natural looking. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
When it's already planned out, it take a very, very good actor, to turn fantasy into reality. But since we are not actors, even though we looked at an actor, we are not actors, they couldn't turn fantasy into reality, so they use reality in the ring. When we go outside the ring, the old timer look up there and say, lay it in. Lay it in is another word for hit me for real. That's what lay it in means. Do it for real.
Do you think in this day and age the guys don't lay it in hard enough?
Well, people could see that.
In your opinion?
Yes.
Yeah.
People could see that.
Well, I know you're not familiar with all of the WWE.
If a guy like, let's say Brock Lesnar, punched me, a senior citizen head 10 times, then I get up off that mat, and I don't have not one scratch on that. How powerful did Brock Lesnar look?
Did you ever see the match he had with Randy Orton?
Uh-uh.
I'd love for you to see that.
Yeah. But you understand my point?
Yeah.
How powerful do he look?
He looked like he took a sledgehammer to a watermelon to what he did to Randy Orton's head when he punched it in. You talk about hardware color. Oh, my God.
Well, see, but that's
it was
believable.
Perfect. Yeah, it was
but
beautiful.
That's believable. How many times you see him throw punches or get down there and punch a guy?
Right.
The guy get up, he ain't got a scratch on it.
Right, yeah.
See, in the old days, we got around that. We got a little color.
You got a little color. You
because we know that people are not going to believe that you can hit a guy that many freaking times and not bust him open. That's why we got that's what the color was for, to make people believe. Otherwise, nobody, you hit a guy with a, see, the people that really messed up the business, believe it or not, was, what was it, ECW.
They went overboard.
They took it overboard.
All it was color.
I mean, you go take a baseball bat and wrap it in barbed wire. You know what you could do to a person flesh with that damn thing? That guy would look like he went through a meat grinder when they get through with him.
Yeah.
And they was hitting people and breaking glass and all this stuff. And I remember the old timers saying then, said they ain't doing nothing but killing the business. Nobody can believe. They look at it as being entertainment, but slowly you lose the believability.
A lot of weapons.
Right.
There's a lot of weapons.
Slowly you lose the believability.
Like your friend New
in it.
Jack, he used a lot of weapons.
Yeah. Well, we're at the end of the day, people look at it as being not believable.
Yeah.
That's the problem with wrestling. People didn't know.
And not only that,
and they didn't want to know.
I think they took it to a point where they couldn't top it. Short of actually, amputating someone's limb, how much more can you really do to a human being without killing them?
Well,
And I kind of like the ECW. I like the violence part of it, but at the same time, you had to look at it. How far can they go until it gets to the point where in real
first of
life
all,
it could never happen?
Stop the high spots.
Yeah.
Stop the meat chopping.
Yeah.
And give the people wrestling.
You don't think there should be any chops?
Give the people wrestling.
No chops.
Give the people wrestling.
All right, I'm going to take that as no chops.
It's going to be boring for a while, but then you're going to hook them again. Because the wrestling part is the only part that people believe in.
Then
The
the
part
high
that people
spots will
don't
mean
believe in
something
is the
then.
punches, the tables. You throw that in off and on. You don't just eliminate it all at once. Like this is how they used to do a match, do a show in the old day. The first match, no punches. Sucker match, no punches. It wasn't until the third match before people could really do something. And then the main event, the door was open. I mean, they could do anything they wanted because it's the end of the show. So you want to hit them with all the big fireworks at the end of the show. But that first match, if you throw a punch, you were fired.
Wow.
You had to wrestle. It was wrestling. Holtz, and in and out of Holtz. And Billy Robinson was a good guy to open up the door because he knew how to wrestle.
Oh, talk about someone that I think is an underrated guy. I wish there were more guys that would look at his style. Not that his style would exactly work in 2020, but I think you could take things from what Billy Robinson. I think you could take things that Billy Robinson did and modernize them in 2020.
Nobody wrestles anymore.
I agree
That's
with
the problem. You don't see a wrestling match.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy throw punches, elbow, drop kick, everything but wrestling. They do everything but wrestle. You watch all the nobody wrestles anymore.
Yeah.
We used to, the first couple of matches had to be wrestling. I asked the promoter one time, I said, why is that? He said, always give the public what they pay for. They pay to see a wrestling match. So even though I give them one wrestling match, I fulfill my obligation to the public. He said, even if it's just one wrestling match. Yeah. That's why they used to have what they call babyface matches.
Yeah.
Remember?
I like an occasional
Well, they did that to get
match.
that one wrestling match in there
before
they start all the bullshit
There's
matches.
no cheating, there's no punching, there's no kicking, it's wrestling. Yeah,
because they say that this is wrestling. So you have to give the people at least one wrestling match where there's nothing in it but wrestling. Then they will appreciate the other stuff. But you got punches in the first match, punches in the second match, punches in the third match, punches. At the end of the day, what do your punches mean?
Nothing. They're overdone.
And
I tell you this, what I'd like to see, Tony, is on one WWE television show where they don't go either to attempt to or actually break the table. They do it every single week on every single episode. Where is the shock value in it anymore when it's part of the regular show? Another thing that I don't understand, Tony, why is it that when they go under the ring every time and they pull the various weapons out, there's a kendo stick? At what point in professional wrestling was a fucking kendo stick ever used to assemble a wrestling ring? And if not, who puts these kendo sticks under the ring and why?
Because
I don't get it.
You got some little 20-year-old sitting there thinking of what he's seen when he was young.
Kendo sticks?
Well, he saw that with ECW. Remember, all the writers there, they are the nannies.
Yeah.
They started watching wrestling the nannies. They never saw a real wrestling match, but they wrestled. They write for the biggest organization in the world.
They should be watching WWE Network then to look at different things.
No, what Vince going to have to do for about a year. When he say old school, he got to go back to the basics. It's going to take them a while, and people, but little by little, people are going to buy into it. Get rid of all the gimmicks, all the talking, and for once, if people turn on a Monday Night Raw, and they see the guys at the table, and they say, well, let's get to our first match. People, match? No talking?
Yeah.
Treat it like a sport for once in your freaking life. Not like the Ed Sullivan show. Okay? Treat it like a wrestling match for just one freaking episode, WWE. You give them wrestling for one freaking time in your freaking life. Start with a match like they did in the olden days. Then you had an interview right by the ring, like they did in the olden days.
Well,
I bet if Vince to do one old school 1980 TV taping, it'd be the hardest thing people ever seen. Just do one night of it, see how it works. The way they did it in the 70s, the way they did in the 80s, without everybody being on the freaking microphone. If Ric Flair was on the card, the promoter would tell us, I want nobody to be on that microphone.
Save it for Nage.
One person on it you get more response from one person being on the microphone than every freaking body in the dressing room. If Jimmy Slicker was on the show, I don't care if you could jump off the rope better than Jimmy Slicker. I don't care if you could do more on the top rope than Jimmy Slicker. The people pay to see Jimmy Slicker jump off the top rope, not you. I don't want to catch up on them ropes. And you can't get up on them ropes. But Slicker is on that card. If Tony Atlas is on the card, even if you're strong enough, you could bench press 5 times more than Tony Atlas. But nobody paid to see you press slam a man. They paid to see Tony Atlas press slam a man. So my press slam had more impact because I was the only one doing it. Slicker was the only person coming off the top rope. Now everybody jump off the top rope, so it don't mean nothing. See, they do something, everything is repetitious with them. So in other words, with WWE, AEW, if you saw one match, you're seeing them all.
And that's a big problem.
Because they don't run it as a show no more.
Right.
They run it as matches. See, a show, the whole show got to fit together.
Right.
And you have to build it. You start here, and you build it up. Now it
must look like
it's all over the freaking place. It's like a dance, it's all over the place. And at the end of the day, you don't know what the fuck you just got through saying.
Yeah.
And talking is 50% of the show. It's microphone. So getting on the mic, everybody's on the mic. So when somebody grab the mic, it don't mean nothing. It's been
said.
It's too, they're getting too repetitious.
Yeah.
And AEW the same way, they come down with a freaking microphone in their hand. First thing. Like, it's a talk show. You're introducing the singers and the dancers. You start off the way it was in the old days and do matches. And then when somebody get the mic, people go say.
I don't think the talking should ever be done in the ring. I think the ring should be that sacred ground where the fighting and the wrestling takes place. I think all the interviews should all take place in the locker room. One man's opinion. I don't know if it would make a difference in the least.
By ringside.
Okay.
Doing by ringside.
All right.
But don't interview everybody. Have 1 or 2 interviews episode. Then you bring back the importance of the interview. Say, we got a special, well, it's kind of like with the president, you come out to talk. Now, this is important. The president he's doing a speech, so everybody tune in.
Like Jack Tunney.
Yeah, well, everybody tune in because the president is speaking. But if he's on TV every day speaking, after a while, when he come out to speak, you go into a commercial.
It's like those coronavirus press conferences.
Yeah, After a while, like, you know.
You heard it.
Yeah. Overdone, overkill. You know, it's overkill. And people do not get what they want, which is wrestling. Imagine doing that at a football game.
Oh, yeah, right. Could you imagine that? If there was 15 minutes of football and 45 minutes of talking?
After every play, somebody grabbed a mic. Can you imagine?
Well, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, that's why football don't lose its rating. They give the people what they pay to see a game.
Let me ask you this, though, Tony. Let's just say you are Vince in 2020. You want to have some bigger guys to try and showcase, but you're not happy with their skill set. Now, I know you're saying is a problem, but what would you do with these guys? Do you think sending them back to be...
No.
You don't think training is the right way about
No.
it? What would you do with Otis? I know you know who Otis is.
Yep. Well, I just told you. See, Otis never been Otis. We don't know what he could do. He going by a strip.
We want to know, I don't know if you know this in real life, but Jerry Briscoe told me when he was in town with us last year, Otis is actually a shooter, believe it or not.
But what's that? Let him wrestle.
Let Otis shoot?
He never wrestle. They got him playing bozo. That's what I'm talking about. See what I'm saying? Nobody knows that,
You
but
think
Briscoe
fans-
and Briscoe don't buy tickets.
Do you think fans might be interested in seeing Otis
They would
shoot?
love to see somebody wrestle. When last time they saw a wrestling match on there?
It's very limited.
You don't see wrestling matches. Here you got a guy that can wrestle, and you got to bounce around on your belly like a big old walrus or seal.
Having beautiful blonde women chase him around, almost like you.
Yeah, but see, it's all character stuff.
Yeah.
You make him into a clown because you know that people are laughing at him. They know that woman ain't interested in him. They're laughing at him. Make him into a clown.
And I tell you this, not to
They dress him up like a clown. It's like Freddie Stern playing blackface.
Not to say that I was right, but when they started to push Otis, I said, this is going to be almost like Eugene. It's going to be like Zach Gowen. It's just going to be one of those flavor of the week type characters. And then after WWE officials had their fun laughing at him, he was going to be dead on arrival. And they've done nothing with Otis for months.
That's what I'm saying. You was right.
I think Otis could be done sooner than later, unless they
maybe
they should let him hold. Maybe they should let him shoot.
And send him back in rescue. What are they going to learn at a school?
Yeah.
What? Nothing. Vince just did that to put them on, to keep them on contract, keep them on contract, and cut their pay, and so nobody else could use them while they're hot. That's the only reason he did that.
You think Otis is hot right now?
Oh, well, he's one of their best talent. Let's put it that way.
He got a little exposure, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
he got that exposure. So Vince, take him off TV, send him down to the camp, let him cool off. Then when he don't mean nothing, eventually just ease him on out of the picture, you know, after people forget about him a little bit. But give people wrestling. People tell me that all the time. I remember you used to wrestle when it was for real. You hear that?
When they respected what they watched.
Because we...
Do you think there's a lack of respect from the fans nowadays?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, because it looked like Power Rangers.
A lot of flipping and flopping and flying.
Yeah, no selling and nothing means nothing.
To me, it breaks down to this. The selling I've talked about, and there's two things. The pacing of the show, and there's no patience to let things slowly develop. Everything is rushed and in your face. And I think the fans like a slow burn.
Do you know why Piper Pitt was so popular?
Why is that?
Take a guess.
He was the only one that did the interview segment.
That was the only time. That was the only time that you got talking.
Now on Raw, every week you have not one, but you have two interview segments. You have Ms. TV and you have the VIP lounge with MVP. Do you really need two interview segments along with all the other interviews that they do backstage?
Everything else, and all the other that goes with that.
Yeah.
It's more talking than wrestling.
It confuses me. You want to know where it confuses me more than anything, Tony? How does USA Network, that is paying them $5 million a week, and seeing the ratings continue to decline, not step in and say, we have to do something different? This is failing. I think USA is as much to blame as WWE
I think
is.
USA is getting COVID money.
What?
They're getting COVID money.
They're getting corporate money?
COVID-19 money.
I don't understand what you mean.
COVID-19 money.
COVID, the disease?
Yeah. Something. They're getting some money kick in there from somewhere.
Well, the ratings have been in decline a lot longer than COVID-19.
And they're going to continue to decline.
But what I'm saying is, what confuses me is, why wouldn't, if you're the network paying $5 million a week, and you see these shows that generally the fans are not liking, with the ratings going down, the response is poor. Well, I mean, at some point, don't you want to make money with it if you're spending $5 million a week?
It depends if they're making money on their. Like I'll tell you, they may sound strange to you. me and SD, we came up here to work for Angelo Savoni. Mm-hmm. And there was an A team and a B team.
Yeah.
Everywhere me and SD Joe went, we sold out. Vince Sr. was mad.
I remember this story, yep.
He was mad.
Yeah.
And I asked Arnold Skolin, why is he mad that we sold the bill out? They said, the B team ain't supposed to make money. The B team is a write-off for the A team. Because that's where the big money was coming in.
big money was,
That's where
yeah.
the big money was at. So Vince had to end up paying taxes. He had no write-off. We took his write-off away. Well, Vince is just a write-off to them with all the many other successful programs that they got. Plus they're making money. Plus they're making money hand over fist on the sponsor. I mean, to be on WWE because it was such a high-rated store. Probably these guys are paying millions. And Vince is raking in millions of dollars, you know, from the advertisement and stuff. Because that prime time, but everybody want to
Well,
get
the
on that time.
advertising isn't cheap, and you know what? For all those that do knock WWE, and there's a lot you can knock, it is still one of the highest-rated shows on cable TV every
Exactly.
week. Yeah.
So,
But just imagine if it was a good product, what those ratings would be.
Well, I
you know?
think they sounded because it wasn't a good product. So they could write off all this other stuff that USA out of pocket spend.
Well, maybe there's something to it. I know as someone that owns WWE stock myself, there was a lot I'd like to see different.
Well, until they
I'm
go
a shareholder.
until they go back to the basics. See, nothing going to change as long as Senior is living.
You think he needs to die?
Oh, I ain't going to say that.
Well,
But
I mean,
I won't
you're
say about
alluding
that.
to it.
But he should just turn it over
I
to...
couldn't see him step down, could you? You know the man.
Well, that's where the problem come in at.
Yeah. Do you think he should have stepped down at 75?
Yeah.
He's trying to produce a product for, you know, the 18 to 49 demographic, and he's a 75-year-old man.
But he don't have the... he's not clicking with the younger... He's not creating new he's not creating new... See, the thing that hurt him the worst, and it's going to hurt him a lot more, were the house shows.
What do you mean?
There was a lot of wrestling fans in Maine. Mm-hmm. And they tell me stories about where they went to the Armory and they saw this, they went to that sports center and they saw that, and they saw that. We're in Boston once a month. It was at the Boston Garden.
Every
month.
Saturday a month.
And you go to coffee shops and places, you hear people talk about wrestling. Now, when the last time on the street anybody ever mentioned wrestling to you?
It's a good point.
Out of sight, out of mind. When Vince destroyed the territory, Vince destroyed the WWE. Because first of all, the people don't see it that much to be interested in it. There's too much other stuff to draw people attention. You know? Mm-hmm. That's why football is still as popular. We caught up to football, but then once we got there, we didn't do nothing. We caught up to basketball. We caught up to baseball. But one thing that we did not do that football, baseball, and basketball did do, and hockey, we were not consistent. People saw less and less and less of wrestling in person. More on TV, but less in person. Mm-hmm. You see? But that personal connection is what sealed the deal. I go to this down at I see them every year when we go to the big event. What month is that in New York?
They usually do one in March and November.
March, or yeah, sometime like that, the big event. Well, there's this black guy that come. He gave me a picture one time of me and him, and he was probably in the picture about 12.
Yeah.
And he was about 12, and he comes all the time when I'm there. Because he made that personal connection when he was a kid.
Like you're a friend.
The fans never make a personal connection with wrestlers. Never.
Yeah.
And they probably never going to see these guys ever in their life. So with the old time wrestling, the people had that personal connection. Like I tell the story about me and Dusty Rhodes. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and this black lady was standing outside one time with a big basket of chicken and potato salad. So I said, I was the only black guy there at the time, so I knew that got to be for me. She's a black woman, I'm a black wrestler. I'm popular. Me and Tommy Rich tag team partner. And Tommy said, oh, we're going to eat good today, T. Somebody brought us the food. So I went over, and Tommy Rich said, is that for Tony? She said, no, that's for Dusty Rose. You understand?
Yep.
That's for Dusty. But
chicken
Dusty
wasn't
shared
for
it.
you.
Dusty shared it with the people. But you wrestling too. People, his birthday, people would bring him gifts. They would bring wrestlers gifts.
Wow.
But they knew us on a personal basis. I go to Maine. I remember you, Tony, when you hear people say that when you do the virtual stuff. It's like telling these stories.
Yeah.
What story they got of The Undertaker? What story they got of John Cena?
Other than watching them on TV, right?
There's no story. There's no connection between the fans and the wrestler.
It's a good point.
And that was one of our biggest drawing power, was the fact that they got to meet us and get personal with us where they was unable to meet. Like Tom Brady got 1,000 of fans, but how many of his fans have shook his hand?
Not many.
Hulk Hogan has shook more hands and took more pictures than Tom Brady. See, and that's why Hulk Hogan was such a big draw, because there's a lot of people got pictures with Hulk Hogan. A lot of people met and shook hands with Hulk Hogan. A lot of people met Bruno Sammartino, shook hands with superstar Billy Graham. You know, and they had that personal connection with the rest. When Vince came in and took that away, he separated the fans from the wrestler. I used to go to my car and fans be around my car.
They'd follow you home.
Yep. It was a personal
They knew
thing.
the rhyme and the routine.
Right.
They knew you.
Yep, we knew them. And they would tell all their friends, and they would talk about us all in barbershops and stuff like that. I just met Tony and they say, is he as big a person as you? Oh man, his freaking arms
bigger.
like this. Yeah, he got arms like this. I couldn't believe that, you know. Now here's something funny. A guy sent me a picture on the phone. Me and Tommy Wildfire Rich standing waiting for a little kid. That kid later became the mayor of Atlanta.
Really? I think, is it a black and white picture?
Yeah.
I think I've seen the picture.
That
Kid became the mayor of Atlanta,
the mayor
Georgia?
of Atlanta, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, the guy showed it to me on my phone. He said, you know who that kid is, Tony? I said, no. He said, he was the mayor of Atlanta.
Wow. Well, you've touched a lot of lives in
When
your
I
life.
was watching WrestleMania one year, Hall of Fame, Snoop Dogg was talking.
Yeah.
Who name came up?
Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
See what I'm saying? That personal connection. These guys don't have it. They're not going to be talking about Brock Lesnar 20 years from now.
You don't think so?
No.
No.
They're not going to be talking about none of these guys 20 years from now. There's no personal connection to it.
Well, we've
Nothing.
seen...
It's nothing with John Cena or any of these guys that anybody can connect to. See, a person can meet this wrestling fan one time, have one experience with him. To him, it's a lifetime. I was in a gym in Atlanta one time. A guy said, "You don't remember?" He said, "We was out playing one day on a hot day, and then opened up the water, where the water shoot out the water,
The fire hydrant?
fire hydrant,
Yep.
and they were jumping in and out of the fire. So they were soaking wet, but I had leather seats. I had a Lincoln Town Car, 1978. I had a 77. This was a 78. I said, "Y'all get in the back." So I took them all down to the ice cream place, and I bought them all ice cream.
Strangers?
Kids, they were kids.
You took them down and got them a free ice cream.
Yeah, got some ice cream. So years later, I was with WCW then, back in '92, and this kid come up to me and said, "You don't remember me, but I remember you. You gave all of us a ride." And he had this Polaroid picture of him standing beside my Lincoln with all the other kids that he kept, that his mother took, of them eating ice cream standing in front of my Lincoln. That kid never forgot that.
Wow.
And
What a memory.
he became the owner of a gym and one of the top bodybuilders in the world.
Oh,
and
really?
the owner of a gym in Atlanta.
Maybe you inspired him.
But that's what he said. He said he couldn't believe that a professional wrestler would take time out of his day, and they were soaking wet too. And I let him get in my car, and I drove him down to that place where they were selling ice cream. Guy had a little ice cream truck. He would go through the neighborhood, didn't have he would park in the park. And I took him to the park to all get ice cream. And you know, he never forgot that.
Wow.
Never forgot that.
And he appreciated it.
Yep. I had a kid the other day, yesterday, knock on my door. Gave me,
Up in Maine?
up in Maine, a Christmas day.
Yeah.
He gave me some real good beer, like the Irish
Was
beer.
it cold?
Oh, it's cold, but it was, I mean, good beer. I mean, real
Premium?
good beer, real good beer. Not that cheap stuff I drink.
Premium beer?
Yep, I don't know. It was Irish
Irish
beer.
beer.
Yeah, it was. I have an
Guinness?
Irish beer. I don't know. It wasn't Guinness. I had Guinness for a taste, but
I'm not a beer
It was in a
drinker, I don't
bottle, but it was real good freaking beer, real good.
Better than the stuff that we bring when we come
Yes,
up?
yes.
And I try and get you something decent
Yes,
when I
and
come up.
this was like
This was better.
because it was only 4 in a pack. So,
Oh, wow.
So when it's 4 in a pack, you know, he must have paid $10-12 for that. He bought me 2 duck legs, and the stuff to go with it.
Who was the man that brought this to
The
you?
kid, he was in my program when he was a teenager. I had a program called Team Atlas, and he was a trouble kid. And I worked with him a lot, got him back in school, and got him doing this, and got him do that, and he never forgot me. Then I had this other kid last Christmas. He's at West Point last year. He was at West Point. He graduated top of his class, and he gave me a nice Army sweater and sweatpants, a sweatsuit
Oh, wow.
that they train in at West Point, you know, and gave that to me. And these kids tell me, Tony, I remember you did this, and I remember you did that. You know, little things that we don't think about much. These kids grew up because Tony Atlas did it. And they all remember the time that they met Tony Atlas. Like, it might be funny, but think about this girl from Germany, come all the way from Germany to stand on my face. It sounds funny.
But it's the truth.
It's the truth. What about the beautiful Cuban girl? And remember before we left, she said, what type of shoes you want me to wear next year?
She was disappointed she didn't get to walk on.
Yeah, but you remember
I
her
remember,
word?
yep.
She said, what type of shoes you want me to wear next year?
We were getting ready to go down to see our friend Khosrow Vaziri.
That's
and
right.
She stopped you, yeah?
That's right. And she said that. But so every year she looked forward to that. Every year. That, you know, these little things like this, something that me and you look at and laugh at, to this girl, this is the, you know, no wrestler would let her do that to them. You know, and she paid.
She paid money to walk
She paid
on
money. You
Yeah.
was there, you got the money. You were there, you know. And they paid for this. And this other girl come all the way from Germany. And every year she does that once a year.
You
and
almost
that's
knocked over Vicky Guerrero's portrait. Vicky
That's
was ready
right.
to slap you.
and that's her highlight.
Yeah.
Every year.
And you kicked the easel that the portrait was on.
Yeah.
Vicky
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
happy.
Yeah. And people
But
look
you
forward.
were. You were.
People look forward to that interaction with, you know, with someone that they grew up watching on television, or, you know, it's just that that interaction just drives me nuts. I had this other kid, I was getting ready to do a show in Maine last year, and he said, I never saw you wrestle in real life. I said, well, I got a show Saturday. He was probably about 14, 15 years old. I said, why don't you come along with me? And I said, just ask your parents, can you go with me? So he went and talked to his parents. They said, sure, we trust Tony. So the kid got in the car with me. The show wasn't at about 45 minutes from the house. Old Larry Huntley was running, so I brought the kid. The kid was able to meet the other wrestlers and to see me and everything. And his mother saw me. She said, oh, he was just so excited, Tony.
And this is a neighborhood kid?
Yeah. But she said he was just so excited. She said he would never forget that one time that he was able to go to a wrestling match, not just with wrestling fans, but with a wrestler. He got to see how I travel, how I get dressed, where I stop to eat, where I stop to get my gas. And he fell asleep on the way back because he couldn't stay awake. It was only a 45-minute drive, but he was like,
to those that aren't used to it,
he was
sometimes
like that
even
45 minutes,
a ride that isn't that far can be
and
long.
then when I pulled in front of his house, his mother and parents were waiting up for him, and he was going out, thank you, Tony. That was only a 45-minute drive, but he was not used to driving there and spending them many hours.
Yeah.
Because the show was from
It's a
7
long
to
day.
9.
Yeah.
It was a long day from 7 to 9, but I got there at 5, you know, and I left at 4.
Did he help with your gimmick table?
He sat at the table with me, helped with the gimmick and stuff. And he was just so amazed at how people reacted to me.
Yeah.
He was just amazed that see, people asked me for autographs, see me take pictures with people. And he saw how people would come up to him. He was like a star. You know him? They asked him, you know Tony Atlas? He told me that. He said, man, people coming to me, ask me, do I know you? I'm your son. They think I'm your son. I said, yeah, but you're white. But I don't know why they asked me that. I'm white.
Well, it's your last name, so I guess you are too.
But he would just, he would be honest. And every wrestling fan from the 70s and the 80s has a wrestling story, but not after the 90s.
Not after the 90s, right.
So what Vince did by doing that, in the long run, he hurt himself. Nobody is, that's why you
Too
think,
much separation.
how long have John Cena been off TV?
On a full-time basis, you're probably talking 3 or 4 years now.
Nobody misses him.
You don't think anyone misses John? Really? What about John Cena Sr.?
But and I'm talking about for the wrestling fan is concerned.
Yeah.
That's why. There's no interaction with the fans.
Let me ask you this, do you think that's part of the reason why our regular fans on this show have so much fun? Because during the live premieres, they can talk to each other and talk with us?
Of course.
Yeah.
What,
That's a good point.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want they want that interaction. They want interaction. That was the thing that wrestling had that no other sport had.
Interaction.
The interaction between fans and wrestlers.
Before the action, you had the interaction.
Vince took that away from them.
Now you just get action. And not all, well, we won't even go there.
Well, why do you think the conventions are the pop so well?
Well, look at WrestleCon. Remember we weren't able to have it in 2020.
Yeah.
But when you and I were at, I think it was the Marriott Marquise.
Yeah.
In New York City last year with Dutch Mantel and Jerry Briscoe.
That's right, yeah.
You guys were doing much bigger business than fresher guys like MVP and Chris Masters, and they just kind of sat there and watched.
Yeah, but the thing about it, with what the reason the convention went so big, it was giving the fans an opportunity to interact with the wrestlers.
Right.
See? And at Vince's shows,
There's nothing like it.
I remember the lady from Germany told me that. She said this is the only place, because she bought a ticket, Vince flies her in for all the event. But the people that Vince bring in came to our thing.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to meet Undertaker. They're not
Right.
going to meet John Cena. They're not going to meet none of them guys. And then I've been at Vince's autograph. It's like an assembly line. You sign, you can't even shake hands with them. Yeah.
You can barely get hello out of your mouth.
Yeah, and they get mad at you if you stop or pose for a picture or something. They run them through just like you run a collar through a similar line. Whereas at the big event or
WrestleCon like we do,
at WrestleCon, they was able to talk to us, to take pictures with us, to fan out thing. And so they had a much more enjoyable interaction, and that's what they pay for in wrestling.
Well, I think one thing that should really stand out to WWE, and we're taping this before the episode airs, but the first Monday of 2021, they're having a Legends Night again on WWE, where they're bringing in Hogan and Flair and Big Show and Sergeant Slaughter. And when they do those nights where they bring back the legends of yesteryear, the bump they get in the TV ratings is enormous. Now, I mean, can you do that every week? No. But a couple of times a year when they do it, it's amazing how much interest is generated by bringing back the legends of your generation.
But never me.
Well, maybe you'll surprise us and you'll be there.
No.
All right. Well, right.
See, when he say legend,
Yeah.
it's already the same legends.
A lot of.
Always, he got a certain group that he brings back year after year. Even though he get a bump, it don't get the bump. Nobody gonna be surprised to see Hogan there.
Well, they already advertised them. So
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nobody you name that people gonna be surprised to see. No one.
All right.
What about the Barbarian? Just some of the people you just named. They would never see them on TV again.
Dutch Mantel.
The Killer Bees. Yeah, they would never see him on WWE show again. The Barbarian, you were never going to see. He's never going to invite them back. Don the Rock Morocco. These are your true legends. He started from the legend. Every legend is from the 90s up. Anybody from the 70s or the 80s is not considered a legend. Wow. It started from Hogan up.
All right, Tony, I'm hearing that music in the background. As we tape this, folks, we're getting ready to bring you a live episode If you have not seen the live episode that Tony and I did, don't worry about it. It is available in the archives. For our good friend in the booth, Jackie the Joke Man, he was a huge help in bringing this episode and all these recent episodes together. If you're chatting away on the premiere chat to my right, don't forget the super chat is open for business. Don't forget to tip the bartender. It costs a lot to keep the lights on. Again, for the Patreon service, it's less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You help keep Wrestling Legends working. You get early, ad-free access to all of our plethora of talk shows, along with the entire Studio Shoot Interview DVD library at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. If you like a lot of the cool merchandise on our set, it is available on eBay. If you go to bostonwrestling.com and click the store button, it'll take you right there. And Tony, someone may have already taken this from us, but I love this drawing.
Who got that?
Some lucky fan is going to want this. I know they are, because this is beautiful, especially once you get a look online at a closer picture of it. Just the attention, even to the teeth, the attention to the detail. Let me in. You think Lanny? Well, I'm not even going to go there. All right, wrestling fans, for the Hall of Fame and Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marotti. It's 2021. We hope your new year is off to a great start. Forget about New Year's resolutions. I hate those. You can start a resolution in March. You can start a resolution December 15th. I don't know why it has to be January 1st. But for Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marotti. Be healthy, stay well, good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at Pershing Auditorium in Lincoln, Nebraska, Monday, January the 19th, 1987, the WWF's debut in Lincoln. In the opening contest, the Honky Tonk Man beat Pedro Morales. In midgets action, the Karate Kid and Little Coco with the win over Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo. Jack Kruger defeated Bob Ellis, who replaced Moondog's spot. Jake the Snake Roberts battled King Kong Bundy to a double countout. The Killer Bees beat Cowboy Bob Orton and Don Morocco. And in the main event, Tito Santana with the win over the Natural Butch Reed inside a steel cage. If you were in Lincoln Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service, so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed Studio Shoot Interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another special edition of Wrestling Insider. A special guest, the Warlord, is with us once again as we continue to break down what was a very memorable career now as we start to dive into that late 80s period that I love so much, with all the great guests we've had here that have tried to dissect it from their point of view. It's going to be very interesting. Again, if you're joining us live, we want you to join the conversation. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have the premiere going where you can be respectful to your fellow fans and share your thoughts about the time period we're discussing, as well as the Warlord. The super chat is always open if you want to tip the bartender and help us keep the lights on. If you're not watching during the premiere, leave your thoughts in the description box below. We love to know what you guys think of the guests. We love to know your reactions to the stories we tell, so we can bring you the best possible wrestling shows we can. I don't know when live wrestling events are going to be coming back to Massachusetts. Indoor capacity for gatherings was cut from 25 to 10. So it's not looking good anytime soon. So the one thing we can do to try and keep eyeballs on our product and our presentations are great talk shows like this. Not only that, we're helping keep the wrestling legends working, and a lot of these episodes are being taped during our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest. So there's good vibes all around. We want to go back to the good vibes of 1988 with the Warlord. You were in a very plum position working for Jim Crockett down in the NWA with the Barbarian, feuding with the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, and then almost like when I snapped my fingers a few minutes ago, with the snap of a finger, you were gone. You talked a little bit about it during the Pat Patterson episode. Rick Martel went down with injury. Strikeforce was out of the tag team title picture feuding with Demolition. WWF needed a new top tag team. Take it from there.
Basically, they, as I kind of said earlier in the Pat Patterson interview, is Grizzly Smith, who was, of course, Jake the Snake's dad, gave my partner a call, Barb a call at his house in Charlotte, and talked to them that they would like to meet with us and that they would like to fly us down the next morning from Charlotte to Atlanta. So Barb, the way he talks, calls me up and he says, Teddy, you know, Grizzly Adams, WWF, they would like to talk to us. You know, I said, all right, Barb, cool. When do we go? He said, tomorrow morning. They have tickets waiting for the airport in Charlotte. So we went to the airport, picked up our tickets, flew down to Atlanta, and come outside and there's a limo waiting. So limo goes ahead and picks us up, takes us to a hotel. They give us a key to a room. We open up the room with the key, and there's Pat Patterson, Vince McMahon, and Hulk Hogan, all in the same room. So we go and sit down with them. They go through their spiel, and they go, well, what do you think? And, you know, they didn't give a timetable, and Barb said, you know, looks around, he said, when do we start? And they said, we'd like you to come in Monday. Now, this is a Friday. Now, usually you don't, in a big organization, you're not somewhere else and you're there a couple days later.
Right.
You know, they do it through a little process of time. I'm like, oh, all right, Barb, I guess we go there Monday. Now, you know, the next day we're supposed to be in Baltimore for the NWA working, holding our 6-man tag team belts with Ivan Koloff against, it was actually against Paul Ellering, Dusty Rhodes, and Hawk, because Animal had been hurt. So we go to the show, and I'm gonna take a little bit further here. We go to the ring, they come to the ring, Hawk and Barb are ready to start the match. Also, the Road Warriors music came back on. Now, I didn't know this at the time. Animal was there, and curtains open up, there he is with a hockey mask on, with his face paint. So he comes down the ring, and I'm looking at Barb, I said, Barb, I didn't know Joe was here, you know. And he comes down there, he gets in the ring, you know, he goes, no, he always does that stuff.
Yeah.
And he tags Hawk, so he's gonna start the match with Barb. Just about ready to lock up, he pulls back, he rips the hockey mask off, because his eye had healed, and he's got his face paint on there. Now, he took him through that hockey mask. Now, you can imagine what happened to that hockey mask. You got 20,000 people in Baltimore Arena. Yeah, we had to wait for a while to start the match. They were fighting for that thing. The police had to go over there, everything else. We just sat in our corners and waited, you know, till they got all settled out, you know. And, you know, we ended up just disqualified, but we still had the belts and that stuff, you know. And we come back, and Barb goes to Dusty and goes, Dusty, we go to WWF Monday. And I hit jaw drop to the ground, because we had all these ladder matches with the Road Warriors coming up. For Starrcade,
right?
Scaffold matches with the Road Warriors coming up. And Animal just came up and he shook our hand and said, good for you guys, because we weren't going to take the bump you guys were. You guys are going to fall every night, you know, and we already knew that. So
what a waste, not to digress, but I found those scaffold matches kind of boring. No one was really going to do anything on it.
You can't do any
other
bumps,
than fall.
Other than fall. That's all you can do. I mean, it was just a waste of time. It really was. And like I say, from 30 feet up and you got 300-pound men, yeah, you're going to get hurt sooner or later.
You saved yourself some wear and tear.
Yes, I did. And I made a good decision by going to WWF, because they were the hottest thing going. That's where everybody, if you actually became somebody big when you make it WWF. I mean, that's elite. That's elite. You know,
that's the brand name.
I said that in college one time when I was playing football. We used to watch the WWF when it first came on TV and cable at that time. And it was just like, wow, just shocked. This is glitz and glamour. Look at how big this is. compared to the wrestling I'd seen, AWA and all that stuff. My God, look at this. And
Were you a fan as a young person?
yeah, I watched AWA in Minnesota when I grew up in that. So I used to watch Vern Gagne and all that stuff, you know. And then, yeah, I didn't really know what NWA was at that time, you know. But I remember the first time I was going down to the NWA, and I had to stay over in a hotel one night, and the WF show was on. And that's when it was going to be Hogan against Andre. And I just looked, I said, man, I would love to be there someday. I really would. I'd love to be there someday. And I made it down the road. Here I am in college watching Jimmy Superfly Snuka, watching British Bulldogs. I'm watching all these guys. And all of a sudden, years later, I'm like, wow, this is cool, man. I'm here.
It's almost like a dream.
Yeah, I'm working with all these guys that I watched in college. You know, I mean, it was fun. It was fun. It really was. I enjoyed it. In fact, Hogan, being in Minnesota, you know, Hogan being a big Minnesota guy too and that stuff before, you know. I went to the old Met Center where they played the hockey and that stuff, and they had a show there. And the wrestling school I was going, they invited us to come to that night. So I got to go backstage and meet Hulkster and everybody. And he looked at me and said, brother, you're a big guy, man. I might see you here someday. That's what he said. I might see you here someday. And I made it. He kind of looked at me and he just shook his head. I think he really remembered. I really do. He just shook his head just like that. It was cool. It made me feel good. It really did.
Why do you think he was at that meeting?
Just to kind of show their power. Mm-hmm. Why not bring your biggest star there ever is? He's the biggest star in the business forever.
Did he help and make the pitch to you guys, or did he just kind of sit and listen to McMahon and Patterson?
It was mostly those two. Mm-hmm. You know, it was presentation. That's all it was.
And respect even.
Oh,
that they thought that much of you to take Hogan from a rare day off to come to meet with you guys at the hotel. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Did the NWA want you to drop the titles on the way out?
No, because we didn't have a show that Sunday, so we were.
Oh, okay.
We were gone. And the funny thing is, I gave my belt back that night. Barb kept his.
Did he?
And if Barb would have told me, I would have kept my damn belt. Those are nice six-man tag team belts.
Think of what those nice belts would be worth nowadays too. I know what Bill got for his WWF tag team title.
You know
belt.
what? I would have never sold it.
You would have kept it?
Yes, because that's special.
Yeah,
that would
sure.
go down to my kids. It's like my W staff that I have. That's one of a kind. I've had so many people offer me such big money for that staff. So I'm never going to sell it. It's going to go to my kids. I love my one pair of special tights that I wrestled so many guys in. I sold two of the others. My one special one, I'm keeping that. My Powers of Pain ones I have with Barb right now, I'm keeping those for my kids. You know, there's no amount of money. That goes to my family. It gets passed down through the generations.
There's only one of things like that.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And they're very
Once
special.
you sell them, you're not getting them back
That's
again.
right. And all the people you wrestled in those things, there's such good memories looking at those things. You know.
It's like a library of memories.
Yes. You can't take that away.
No.
Can't take that away.
Not at all. So you wrapped up with NWA. That Monday you put on the road. How did the WWF fans take to you right away? You were heels in the NWA. WWF was looking to have you take Strikeforce's place as the #1 babyface tag team. What was the initial reaction like to the fans before you even debuted on television?
Well, the first couple of weeks, because we didn't do TV yet, so no one knew we were in WWF. Mm-hmm. We went to do the house shows, and the people are in awe because we had music coming out when we came out, and as big as we were and that stuff and what we could do, the people were just like, wow, Powers of Pain or WWF. And the people went nuts. They went crazy. I mean, our first show was in actually in University of Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. And of course, those, you know, the college kids are great. They went nuts and that stuff, you know. And next day we were in Syracuse, New York, and then we had 2 TVs. Now, this was a Fuji rib. We didn't really know Mr. Fuji. So we're looking around and we asked, you know, where's a good hotel to stay here in Syracuse? Well, who'd we get? Fuji. We asked Fuji. A mistake. So Fuji goes, I have very good hotel. You know what I'm talking about. You go to this hotel. Oh, very good. All the boys stay there. So we get done. We go to this motel, and I was like, Barb, how come there's no cars in the parking lot? You know, maybe they park somewhere else. I don't know. So we park there. We go and get a room. We go to the room. We open the door. Now, there's no air conditioning in this place. The air conditioning's broke.
And you went in the summertime.
Yeah. 95 degrees out. All the mosquitoes. Yeah. Humidity. So we go ahead. We get in, we turn the TV on. It's fuzzy. So you can't even go to TV. Now, we try to go to sleep. The beds are like sagging to the ground.
Oh, my God.
So I'm just like looking at it. So we got to open up the doors to try to get some air in there. Now you got the mosquitoes coming in. This is the night before our first big TV for WWF. So we're up every hour fanning each other off like this to try staying cool because we're dying, you know. Next day we got to drive 3 hours to Glens Falls, New York, and we're just dying. We're tired. We get to Glens Falls, and this was cool. We come in with our bags, and all of a sudden we stop, and all of a sudden here comes like, you know, Andre the Giant, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage. All of a sudden he stops, he turns and looks, "What's up, big brothers? Welcome to the WWF." The way I said it, you know. I'm like,
this was Randy that said that?
Yeah. I like drop my bags. I look at Barb and said, "Barb, that's his real voice." That's his real voice, you know. So we go and get her, and then of course Fuji says, "How was hotel last night?" I just shook my head. He goes, "Oh, no. We all stay at Super 8. You gotta be kidding me, man. Fuji got us.
Forget about Super 8. If that was a downgrade from the Super 8, I can't imagine what that place was like.
It was brutal. It was brutal. It was rough.
What were your initial impressions of the WWF, your first big television taping, compared to your experiences in the NWA?
It was night and day. It was like taking from wrestling to stardom. Glitz and glamour. It was just a different atmosphere. The WWF was a different atmosphere than the NWA. NWA was great wrestling. Mm-hmm. This was entertainment. It was entertainment. Entertainment at its best. Entertainment with great athletes. You know, entertainment with comic book characters that came to real life. They were real life comic book characters. It was fun. It was fun just to see that big WWF logo. It was cool.
How would you compare your initial impressions of Vince McMahon to working for Jim Crockett?
Vince was just a larger-than-life person. Jim Crockett was never. You really didn't see too much of Jim Crockett. Mm-hmm. Vince, you always saw. Vince was a person that was larger than life too. Also, he was just a person that when he come around, everything kind of, everybody had to look.
Yeah,
you know, that was Vince. And to this day, still the same way. It's just larger than life. It's Vince. It's just Vince.
What about your early memories of a team that you'd feud pretty much the majority of the time with for the next year and a half? Axe and Smash Demolition, Bill and Barry.
Great tag team. One of the best, probably I would say behind the Road Warriors. Great gimmick. The outfits were cool. Great music. Powerful music.
Love the song.
Powerful music coming to that ring. I am the Axe, and I am the Smash. I mean, just great music, you know. And they both went together real well. And they were old school type wrestlers. That's what they did, old school type wrestling, you know. And it worked well, you know. It worked well. I mean, they should be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, it's all political. We all know that. It's all political. They should have been in the Hall of Fame right away. They've had the tag team. They held the tag team longer than any other tag team titles, longer than anybody else ever has.
Well, New Day actually broke it by about a week, so they could say Demolition
It's
wasn't.
still Demolition. I don't care. It's still Demolition. That's just political, too. That's all.
Demolition worked on top with those belts.
Yes.
The big difference between that and how they presented on TV
and tag
nowadays.
teams were totally different back then than they are now, too. Totally different. Tag teams back then were unbelievable. They were one-of-a-kind tag team. Everyone was a one-of-a-kind tag team. You know, today now they just throw guys together.
Yeah.
And in our time, everybody complimented the other. Everybody complimented. So that's what made the tag team so unique.
I'll say this, I've done very few things right in life when it comes to wrestling, but One thing that I put a feather in my cap on is that I don't know if you're familiar with the fact that after Survivor Series 90, Bill and Barry didn't speak for 16 years.
I know.
I went on a manhunt to find Barry Darsow. A manhunt. And I was unsuccessful for a long time. But I finally got him in late 2006 and got the two of them to reunite and speak to each other again the morning of WrestleMania 27 in Detroit. And they were my favorites as a kid. And I like both of them personally very much.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the few really great things I've done in wrestling is to take a tag team that meant so much to so many and get them on. And now look at them. They're on the road together a few times a month and they're making more money. Easy money. You know, it's not like they're in the ring bumping around anymore. So I was very happy I was able to do that. As a kid, I had that big 24 by 36 inch demolition poster on my wall. I had the Axe.
Where's the Powers Paid one?
They didn't make one, did they?
No.
I had the Axe LJN, but they didn't make a Smash LJN because LJN cut the line. It was almost like they made a Warlord LJN, but poor Barbarian got jobbed out of his.
Yeah. Same as Hasbro. Hasbro didn't do one of Barb.
Yeah, that's right.
They
You
didn't
have
do
a
one of
Hasbro?
Mattel for Barb. You know, they didn't. I don't know.
They really
why.
like you.
I don't know. I'm lucky, man. It's thank God because I love those things. No matter whatever happens to me in life, I live forever. I'm immortal. Like Hogan said, we're immortal.
Yep.
We're immortal with those action figures. We become immortal. And that's
Action figures, now with the advent of the internet, the old video footage and the pay-per-views, and like you said, I mean, when your physical body is gone, your spirit and your presence will live on for eternity.
Yes. And like you said, you know, I'm very glad that Bill and Barry got back together because they're kind of like Animal and Hawk, where they weren't talking for a long time, and then they got back together. It means because those are just tag teams that actually need each other. They actually need it. One with the other is not the same. Together, they can do whatever. They can do everything. So I'm glad because they're both good men, and you know they look great together.
How did they like working with you? Any idea? I mean, did they think you were these kind of younger guys coming in from NWA compared to working with vets like Tito and Martel, someone that they had to carry a little bit?
Well, I was always the greenest of everybody. I was a young boy yet of everybody. You know, Barb had been there for a while.
Because you must have been pretty young at this point.
I was young.
Mid-20s, right?
Of course, Bill's a veteran. Bill had been around forever and that stuff, you know. But no, I know they enjoyed it because we had very good matches together with those guys. Of course,
believable matches.
Yes, and of course,
credibility.
Yes, and of course we got to do work for the titles for a long time, which was very enjoyable. I mean, just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
I really like that feud.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure we'll get back to Demolition as the life of the Warlord in WWF continues. But another new babyface tag team hit the scene right around the same time you guys did. They were with the company for one single day in 1987 before they got fired in Buffalo, New York. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, my partner in crime each and every Thursday night here in the seat at 10 p.m. The Rockers. Your memories of the Rockers early on in the company when you guys were all kind of new.
I tell you what, the Marty and Shawn were a lot of fun. When they were young, they were wild. Like you said, their first
Marty
time,
now.
Yeah, like I said, they're into the territory the first time they get fired the first
one night.
Not very many people could do that, you know. But they were a great tag team. I mean, we had I think some of our best matches ever with those guys because them being small, us being big the way we were, they knew how to work with big men. They knew how to. I mean, they could fly, literally fly.
At that point, you know, while they'd probably be considered about average size today in WWE, back then they were looked at as pretty small.
Yeah, they were small at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, like I said, you know, the WWF at the time was comic book characters brought to life. You look at a comic book character, that's what we were. Except we were real body, we were real people. And everybody was so big, strong, everything else and that stuff, you know. But those two guys had the great looks. And they had all the women.
And they fit the gimmick.
Yeah, yes,
they lived
did.
the gimmick.
Yeah, they lived the gimmick. But you're talking two great workers. And at that time, I think actually, to tell you the truth, Marty was a better worker than Shawn at that time. Marty was a hell of a worker.
I think
He was good.
some
was
people
good.
may make that statement even now. And I think
That's my feeling, and I like Sean a lot, but Marty was good.
Marty doesn't have the body of work that Sean does. That's the problem.
No.
Marty never had the big world title runs.
No.
Marty never headlined the pay-per-views.
No.
But I'll say this, I think match for match, as far as variety, freshness, working with small guys, big guys, great workers, greenhorns, certainly not the biggest star in the history of the industry, but if I was to sit down and you could say you could have one collection of one guy's matches, I think Shawn Michaels might be the best of them all.
Yeah, you're probably right. Sean's had a great career, and you know, Sean adapted to every change he made, whether it be how he worked, which was always great, whether it be whatever rig attire he would wear, which was always unique.
Yep, definitely.
You know? Yes. You know, Sean adapted to the business, and he changed with the business all the time, which, you know, was very unique. You know, whatever it took, he did. Sean did. You know, and like I say, Sean was kind of like Bret Hitman Hart that I worked with for a while. If you couldn't work with him, you didn't deserve to be in the business.
Right.
You did.
You can't have a good match with one of those guys.
If you couldn't have a good match with it, you'd get out of the business because it's never going to happen. Never. But like I say, you know, Barb and me had incredible matches with those two guys. And it was believable what we did. Very believable. I remember in Madison Square Garden, I think it's on YouTube yet, where I gave Sean a backdrop, and he got so high, I actually turned around. He wasn't down in the mat yet, and he actually, that little microphone that's over the thing up there, the little light that sits
MSG
over,
thing, yep.
It hit him. He hit it. He
Wow.
got so high, and I was so strong at that time. I could toss anything at that time, and he knew how to come off the back. Amazing, amazing. And those guys, they made everything you did to them was so believable, and they knew how to, like I say, they know how to work with big guys. They would, to get you down, they would use double team. They would double something with that double kick to the face, super kick. You know, whatever they did was always a double to try to get you. Never single, always a double, always.
And it made sense from a psychological point of
Yes.
view, where they were smaller guys in the company that you'd think, in theory, if it was a real fight, you'd need two bodies to
Yes,
take
you
down
would.
some of those bigger guys.
Yes, you would. You know, and like I say, you know, they could work together very good, very well.
You mentioned it on your way out of the NWA in June of '88, you were in Baltimore, Maryland. Before the end of the month, you were back in Baltimore, Maryland with the World Wrestling Federation.
Yes.
House show, nondescript, you'd think, until the after events that night when the International Hotel near the Baltimore airport, Haku bit off a man's nose. Were you in the vicinity when this night took place?
Yeah, I'll add a little more to that there.
Okay.
As I said, we were in Baltimore that Saturday before. Mm-hmm. And we were bad guys. We were the heels. We had the 6-man tag team belts. And the people wanted to cook us, you know, they wanted to kill us. They wanted us destroyed. Now, we come back the next week, same arena. And I'm looking at Barb and said, Barb, they're not going to like us. Because we were just here last week, you know. But now they hadn't seen us on TV. And they didn't even know we were in WWF yet.
So it was a surprise just to see you, yeah.
So Demolition went to the ring with Fuji. All of a sudden, we hit out there. We hit that ring and boom, boom, boom. They take off, boom, they're gone. The people went nuts. I'm like, Barb, they like us. Look at this. I mean, one week they want to kill you. Next week they want to marry you. I said, only in wrestling, man. Only in wrestling, you know. And so that night afterwards, you know, we went to the back to the Holiday Inn, and we went across the street to this one nightclub we always went to all the time. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Safari Club. The Safari Club. A lot of fun. Always
That was
packed.
it, the Safari Club.
Safari Club.
Yep.
Always packed. Always. So we're having a great time, just walking around, you know. And, I didn't drink or anything. You know, I never got into the drinking or anything else, you know.
Good for you.
So Haku was just having a beer, you know. And if you know anything about Tongans, Samoans, if they have one extra 2 beers too much, they're another people. They'll give you the shirts off their back. They will do whatever for you, anything. So I just get done seeing Haku, and I go, you okay? So, oh, good brother, you know. You know, I'm with Tonga Kid and that stuff, you know. And all of a sudden I turn around, I look, and Haku's staring at this person. I'm like, trying to figure out who he's staring at. And all of a sudden he just starts going like through a crowd, like nothing's affecting. He's just walking right through, like he's like a knife going through butter, you know. He goes to this guy, he grabs him, and just literally, boom. I go over, all you see is blood everywhere. The guy's nose is like, yeah. So,
like a dog's toy.
So we get Haku with Tonga, we get him back into the car, take him back to the Holiday Inn. Get him up to his room. Please stay here, Haku, please stay in your room. We come back downstairs, and we go towards the front entrance and that stuff, and here comes all of these police cars. I went, oh boy, they knew where we're staying, you know. So, of course, Haku sneaks back down the elevator after us and goes to the bar. So he's at the bar. Now, all these police officers come in, but I'm trying to think, man, if these guys go now, he's going to fight. He's going to fight. And someone's going to get hurt. And Haku can go.
Now, did you know he was at the bar at this point?
I knew he was at the bar because I just turned around and I saw it. And then I looked at all these police come. So when they came in, I'm like, when they come in, I said, where's Haku? Where's Haku? Guy, just like thinking, guys, give him a minute. If you give him a minute, he'll calm down there and that stuff, you know, because he's talking to some people, you know. So we sat there for like a minute, and it was kind of like the movie The Blues Brothers, where they were in that elevator, going up with that little elevator music going. That's what it felt like to me. Doing all of a sudden are waiting. All of a sudden I go, yeah, it's cool now. And they went over to him, tapped him on the shoulder, he turned around, he goes, oh, he just, you know, very simple. Very
Really?
easy. He wasn't, no,
Wow.
Because he was relaxed now. It was, everything was done. He was very relaxed and that stuff, you know.
Do you know what led to the incident with the man?
No.
Huh.
Just a
dirty look?
Yeah, maybe a dirty look. It is something that he got a fix on, and that was it. Nothing was going to stop him to get to that.
Wow.
Nothing.
Do you consider him, I know there's a list of usually 5 or 6 that get tossed around, but the most dangerous man, the toughest man you were ever around in the industry?
Yeah, him and my partner. Those two. Haku, the one thing you got to realize about Haku, here's a 300-pound man, had legs like this, leg trunks, just trunks for legs. He sumoed in Japan for years, so he knew the center of balance. He had unbelievable balance. That's why he do all that stuff so well in the ring.
That's interesting, train of thought. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Yeah.
And then also his punches. You can see how good he could punch. And I mean, he just had those big, you know, he was just a natural big man. And when you're in sumo, they punch those posts to practice punching. So he knew how to do that really well, you know. And the guy was fast as a gazelle. He could move. I mean, this guy could fly. And I mean, he had a head like that on him too. And just, you know, big hands, strong hands. And and the thing is, they fight to the death in those places. They don't quit. There's no stopping them. And Barb was the same way. You know, they like me. They call me a Howley.
They call you what?
I'm a Howley.
What's that mean?
That's a white boy. Howley.
Howley?
Howley.
Howley.
Howle, I pronounce it. Howley. We're Howleys.
Oh, okay.
Because like you always complain. That's what it is. White people complain. So we're Howleys.
Oh, howling. Okay,
Howleys.
I got you.
Yeah, howl,
okay.
you know, howls, you know. But they, you know, they love me, and that's because I was Barb's partner, you know. And, but those two, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to have been the guy giving him the dirty look, that's for sure.
I'll take Haku over anybody today. At his prime, I'll take him over anybody.
Did you run into a lot of nightclub tough guys from time to time that had a few too many, and you'd see, oh, you're one of those fake wrestlers from TV? And
not really.
No?
You know, only one time is at Denny's. Some guys, a couple of us guys were sitting down having a meal, and some punk kids came in and said, look, it's a professional wrestler. That's all fake, blah, blah, blah. Man, I wasn't in the mood, you know, and that stuff, you know. So whenever I just kind of grabbed by the neck and squeezed, he starts crying, you know, so you have to call the police, and the police took them out.
Really?
Yeah, took them out. They were the ones that started the whole thing.
Good. You were just trying to enjoy a meal.
We were just trying to eat in peace and that stuff, man. You know, whatever you think of it, think of that stuff, but keep it to yourself. I don't care what you think, but keep it to yourself.
You know what I've never understood? Do you think anyone has ever gone up to Arnold Schwarzenegger and said, you know what? You're that fake Terminator. You know what? I've never understood the mindset, why people come at it from that way. especially those that don't understand it, that don't understand what the bodies go through, is just as physically grueling as just about any other major league sport that there is out there.
It's because
But I just don't understand why, like I said, I don't think anyone's ever gone up to Sly Stallone and said, there's that fake Rocky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just because they don't understand, and that's
Yeah.
they don't know what we go through, what we put our bodies through.
Right.
I would love to put them in the ring for one day through a session. And I'll have them do all those rolls, all those things you learn. So by the time you're done, your neck is like this for the next week. You can't move your neck because it's stuck because doing all those rolls. Then I'm going to have them hit those ropes a bunch of times so you get that rope burn here so you can't even touch it. It's like you got to walk around because you can't even touch your lat because it's all black and blue. After they'll quit. The first day they're done. I had a guy who was in the Gold's Gym in Vegas. He comes to me, man, you're the Warlord. I said, yeah. He says, man, I respect, man. He says, I'm a big guy. I went to the school. I lasted 1 week, and that was it. Man, I couldn't take it. The things you guys do in that, I have all the respect in the world. All. You know, that's why I say, just put these people in the ring one time and put them through some of the things we go through. Put them through where you give a person a slam. You got to get up, and you got to know right where you're at when you get up. When you get up that first time, if you take a slam, you're going to be so disoriented. You're not going to know where the hell you are in that ring.
I remember I started doing this when I was 13. I worked for a guy named the Boston Bad Boy, Tony Rumble.
Yeah,
and,
Tony Rumble.
One of the guys took me in the ring, 13-year-old, 9th grade guy. I was pretty big. You wouldn't think I was in the 9th grade, but they scooped me up and slammed me. And it was like the cartoon with the yellow bird.
That's right.
All I saw was stars, and I'm
Yes.
like, you got to be shitting me.
Yes, and
this is the big trampoline
Yep,
that
and just
everybody
think about
talks about.
When you got to get up.
So
from
I
that,
learned the respect.
you gotta
first
know,
night.
When you get up from that, you got to know where to position
Yeah.
yourself right in that ring again for boom, 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 boom. When you're doing things, you have to know yourself. Everything in that ring, you got to be right there in a second. Boom, boom, boom. It's like that. And people don't realize how hard that is. They don't understand.
Well, I know a lot of the old timers used to love to teach it to them.
Yeah. The biggest thing I always remember about the old timers, the first time I ever did a TV, they said, kid, don't worry about it. If you screw up today, only about 5 million people are watching. I got to run back to the bathroom quick, man. They know how to get under you, They know how to get under your skin to get you really going and that stuff, But that's all it was. That's all it was.
That was the nature of the beast.
It was all about respect to that business. Respect it. Respect.
And it's a business that deserves it.
Yes,
as
it is.
As you well know, even far better than I do, with what you gave up in your life to be able to do something that you loved and excelled at so well. Yeah. As you guys were coming into the WWF, I don't know if you had much of a chance to engage with them, but Bam Bam Bigelow and Sir Oliver Humperdinck were on their way out.
Yeah.
Bam Bam was in a great spot just a couple of months before you got there.
Yeah.
Him and Hulk Hogan were teaming against Andre and DiBiase on house shows. A young guy. And now in the summertime, he's out the door.
Yeah. The biggest thing I remember about Bam Bam, it wasn't WWF, because I really didn't know Bam Bam there, because like I say, he was out there before we got there. But it was my first time I went to Japan, and it was for Antonio Inoki, which was so cool. 6 weeks, tour, And Bam Bam didn't come there right away. He came about a week after we were there. And he came in, bigger guy comes in, all the tattoos on the head, all that stuff, And all I remember is WWF, all they did leading up to when he was in Japan, working in Japan with us, WWF was putting him on TV, just his head with all tattoos, saying coming soon, coming soon. I mean, they would just get him over so big before he was going to come to WWF and that stuff, And, Bam Bam was huge in Japan, big name in Japan, And, the guy for a big guy, he could move for a big man.
Sure could.
He could move for a big guy. I enjoyed watching his matches in Japan. I'd watch all the times he would work in Japan, so I could learn more. Because you never know when you watch matches what you can learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
And not to copy what they do, but like they do, but change something a little bit.
Modify
and make it yours. But yeah, Bam Bam was big man, good wrestler.
It was disappointing because as a kid, he was someone I really enjoyed. And then without knowing, what went on behind the scenes and such, just vanished overnight like that. That was always confusing, I guess, is the best way to put it. And then you'd see them show up in other territory because back in those days, we had WWF, NWA, AWA, and World Class on TV. So then they'd show up in another promotion, and it was kind of cool. When I first started watching, you know, I didn't quite understand it at first. I'm like, oh, they go to these different places. I didn't quite get that. Another guy that came in and came out quickly, almost right around the exact same time you were there, was a man that was filming a part in the No Holds Barred movie, the veteran Joss LeDuc, who came in as the butcher. I think he had on brown overalls.
Yeah,
and
he was brown overalls.
Dynamite Kid made sure it was a quick trip for Joss.
If Dynamite Kid didn't like you, it was gonna be a rough life, especially in WWF. I mean, he was big time ribber. He'd make sure you know about it. You know, I really, like I said, I didn't really know him too well either. You know,
Talking about Joss LeDuc?
Yeah, I didn't really
He
know
wasn't there that long.
I really didn't know him too well and that stuff. And you know, I know there was some heat there. That's all I know and that stuff. But I really can't tell you much.
I was told that he would go out and befriend Joss, and then at the restaurants and whatnot, if Joss would go to the bathroom, something would accidentally fall into Joss's drinks. So
you're on the bad side of you're on the bad side of Dynamite. Yeah, it's not a good side to be on.
And Joss was closer to the end than the beginning to begin with. That wasn't exactly a young guy that WWF was putting on the road, but he must have made a nice impression on people during the No Holds Barred movie for them to even take kind of an older guy and give him that position, attempt to give him a position in the company like that.
No, just try. It was good because, you know, off the No Holds Barred, give him a little something to do in that stuff, you know, which is good. It's good to do that stuff for the business.
Like you said, you can learn something from everyone.
Yes, you can.
And variety, you talk about today when it looks like, again, I hate to be too stiff with what's on TV nowadays, but a lot of the guys, if you found out they were in high school, you wouldn't be all that shocked.
That's right.
Joss LeDuc was, he may have been an older man,
yes, he
but
was.
he was a very tough, dangerous looking man.
Yes, he was.
Just his forehead alone.
Yep.
Just that forehead alone, those Canadians up there.
Yep, you're right.
I lost my train of thought for a second there. July of 1988. This had to have been a memorable one for you. You guys, when you started your house show runs, as you filled in for Strike Force, you worked a bunch with Demolition. But as July and the rest of the summer started to take place, you worked what must have been probably 100 times with Nikolai Volkoff and Boris Zukov, the Bolsheviks. Your memories of two men that probably didn't move at the speed of Sean and Marty.
No, a little bit different speed.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, they went well together. I mean, it was a great Russian gimmick. You know, it was always fun to see Nikolai get off and sing the national anthem of Russia. And of course, an honor to be in the ring with Nikolai because I watched him on TV when I was in college.
Yeah, so he was a legend, and he still is now.
Yes. I mean, that was fun working with Nikolai and that stuff. You know, I mean, Nikolai was a lot of fun. You know, Boris was always the bumper. If you try to get Nikolai to do a bump, it's like having an octopus wrapped around you. You try to go give a slam, boy, those arms are wrapped, the legs are wrapped around you. It's like a fly. I mean, you can't get him off of you.
It was awkward looking.
Or you give him a clothesline, he would actually take a forward bump through the clothesline. You know, that was Nikolai. I remember Barb gave him a big boot. And Barb's big boots are incredible. Nikolai actually walked to the rope and threw himself over the top rope to get over the top rope. He didn't just take it, boom, over. He actually walked over and then kind of just leaned over the top rope and went over. And this was great because Chief Stay Strongbow was great at it. Chief would always put his hands behind his back and go, oh, big man, what was that you just did in the ring? That stuff, you know. I mean, but Nikolai was a nice man to be around. He always had good jokes. He always had little card tricks or tricks he'd always show you all the time, you know. You know, he loved my wife at the time, always would talk to my wife all the time if she'd ever come around to the shows and that stuff, you know. And just he was an all-around good man, and Boris was a very good person too.
Nikolai worked almost up until the very end. I think in his early 70s he was still doing indie shows. This is a guy that either really wanted the money or really had a passion for the business to still want to get in the ring at that age.
Nikolai he enjoyed it. He just enjoyed being around the guys.
Yeah.
Another one of the best ones of Nikolai is when he do that spinning kick. Oh boy, he do that spin. Ah, Nikolai, what's that scream? Or God, where's that scream come from? But Nikolai was always a pleasure to be around. Always had garlic breath. Always had garlic.
The Sheik mentioned that before one time when he was here.
Had garlic breath coming or through his skin.
Did he really like garlic?
I guess he loved garlic. Either that or he's trying to ward off vampires or something. I don't know. I don't know, but it's something.
And in this industry, you never know.
You never know in this industry. Maybe Gangrel was coming around and he wanted to put some garlic on him.
There you go. He was preparing a decade early. Wrestling fans, this is what this program is all about. The great memories and legends, the stories, the experiences, and just some of the unique human beings that have flowed through professional wrestling over the years. As we wrap up this program, I thank the Warlord for joining us. We're going to be back with more great content on Wrestling Insider Special Edition. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours, be well, stay healthy, get ready for more tales from 1988.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the home of Maria Davis, Friday, January the 20th, 1984. In the opening contest, Salvatore Bellomo defeated Ken Jugan. Eddie Gilbert with the win over Bob Bradley. WWF Tag Team Champion Rocky Johnson defeated Iron Mike Sharp. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff with Rowdy Roddy Piper victorious over Tony Gurria. Superfly Jimmy Snuka beat Sergeant Slaughter via disqualification. Bob Backlund with the win over the Masked Superstar inside a steel cage match. And in the main event, WWF World Heavyweight Champion the Iron Sheik retained the title over Chief Jay Strongbow. If you were in Pittsburgh live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marati along with Marty Jannetty. Marty, it is getting cold here in Boston in the middle of January.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
It's called winter.
That's what it is. See, down south, we don't have to worry about that till almost February. Hey, it gets chilly, but I mean, it don't get cold like this.
Now, down in Georgia where you live, how cold does it get in the wintertime?
It gets down in the lower 30s and the upper 20s.
For a high?
I mean, no, not for a high. Nothing for the low. I mean, it does. You can have your day or two or so to dip under 20. You know, and
really? For a high temperature?
No, why do you keep going to the high temperature? No, that's the lows.
Oh, okay.
We get 30 to 40 in the days during the deep winter.
It can get that cold?
No, you.
Well, no, because I used to have a place down in Florida, not too far from Gainesville, and most, it would be rare for it not to at least hit 60. I know you're further north than that.
Yeah, down mid central Florida area, it don't get under 60, 70, or 50.
You hit the 40?
I mean, the highs. The lows, they can get down close to freezing.
You were but I mean, for the highs where you are, it's in the 40s sometimes in the winter?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, I would have guessed warmer than that.
No, not
but
for...
that's
no, I mean,
tolerable.
there's days.
You don't have the snow, that's for sure.
The who?
The snow.
No, once in a while we'll catch someone. Now, up in Columbus, where I'm at, Yeah, occasionally we'll get it. There was
Snow?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it ain't
the
like
hell
up
outta
here. It ain't like 6 feet of it.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But we'll get snow, a couple, 3, 4, 5 inches, and then once in a while we get the big one. We get a couple feet. You know, everybody goes,
snow?
the whole damn place shuts down. Nobody knows how to drive in that down
Oh,
south.
yeah. We had 4 inches, believe it or not, the day before Halloween.
Is that right?
And then it pretty much melted the next day.
That's crazy how this year's weather.
October and November in Massachusetts is always crazy. You can go from one day where it's near freezing and then it's 80 the next. It's nuts, but welcome to Boston. And welcome to Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. If you're new to our show, I'm Dan Marani. This is the future Hall of Famer.
MJ in the house.
In the house. We have our chat going right
Wait
now.
a minute.
Oh, wait, what?
We're going to start the show off like that.
What do you mean?
Dude, where's my phone?
Oh, here we go again. Did you check your sock?
No. That's my wallet. I found my wallet.
You found your well, that's my
Oh, you hid it behind the belt.
You know what? Maybe you should just keep it there.
Yeah,
Did
right.
you think of that? Then you'll never lose it.
All right.
Because you'll always be a champion to us.
Okay, there we go.
We are continuing to plow through Marty's time in the World Wrestling Federation in
We are plowing through it.
1989.
It's taken 20
From
years.
a man that's known as plowing over the years, believe me. There's many arena rats around the country that can attest to his plowing.
Arena rats.
Yeah.
Look, I think this is from Dunkin'. I shouldn't be giving free plugs, right?
No.
Dunkin' Donuts. And they put the price tag right there where everybody can see how cheap you are.
How much was it?
It says EDN, $1.37. Oh, it's number 130. No, never mind. It's the number sign, number 137.
Oh, that was probably the order number.
4 creams, 4 sugars. I'm on a diet, though. I didn't really have that many creams and sugars. It was 3. It must have been 4.
You really loaded up on the creams and the sugars.
Well, I
brother.
didn't know how big the coffee was going to be. I thought it was going to be one of them buckets
And I've told you, I've never had a cup.
of coffee.
Ever.
Try this.
No.
It might be spiked.
You know what it was? When I was a kid, I think I tried the ice cream and it sucked, and I said, I never want to have the drink.
Let's see if we can name that tune. I like pleasure spiked with pain, and music is my aeroplane. Who sang it?
We have the live premiere going at 10 o'clock on Thursday night. Fans, if you have any idea what that song
I
is that he's
guarantee
singing.
you somebody's going to know it before Googling it.
Now, you think maybe we should do a giveaway?
What do you want to give away?
How about an autographed picture?
Of who?
You.
Yeah, okay.
You know what? We're not even...
Why do you never give none to you? That lady's going to buy one.
Who, Linda?
The one that owns your son.
Well, biologically, he's not my son, but I love him in my heart like he's my own.
Yeah, I think he loves you back, too. I
we
saw him
were
that one
actually,
day.
we were texting while you guys went on your little
Oh,
field
yeah,
trip.
what did he have to say?
He just said, tell Marty hi, how's it going, how's the show? Devon Brent, brother, the junior ambassador of Boston Wrestling, he's ready to meet you. He's ready for you to come down. I tell you, you want to hear an undercover story we had to do?
Undercover? Yeah.
Undercover. Well, you know who Leo Rush is. He's the recent NXT Cruiserweight champion that WWE released, and he had his war with Mark Henry that's joined our family.
Did you say Mark?
Mark, yeah. Our family of talk shows. But he really wanted to meet him, especially a guy recent from WWE TV.
Yeah.
So he came in on a Wednesday, and now that they have cyber school, he's at home every day.
Oh, yeah, how's that going?
He hates it.
Really?
I feel bad for the poor kid. But anyway, we picked up Leah at the airport, and I said, you know what? She's at work. Hopefully she never sees this. But she was at work. So we brought Leo over to the house, and the kid came out, and he got a picture with him, and he was thrilled to have a WWE superstar come to his house
Oh,
and
that
get
is
his
pretty
picture
wild.
with him. Because when it was funny, do you know the Viking Raiders of WWE?
Viking Raiders, yeah.
Hanson
I think,
and
yeah. Well, I don't know.
They were the War Raiders. They were, what the hell was their name? What was their name?
Where were they at before?
The Viking Raiders. What were they before the Viking Raiders? The War Raiders?
We got 2 encyclopedias in here.
Hans-
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Matt Daddy knows some
Hanson
stuff.
and Rowe. Well, anyway, Hanson, who's Ivar now in WWE, he used to help me babysit his older brother when he was a kid. And he was the youngest one was jealous that a WWE guy used to come to his house before he was born to help babysit his brother. So now he can say he's had a WWE guy at his house too.
That was
So
pretty
there you
cool,
go.
man.
It is for a little kid. He's been around giants, midgets. He's got to meet the stars. The boogeyman called him for Christmas. He's had an interesting little life, the kid.
Yeah, sounds
I
like
can't wait until he has the freedom to come and join us at his own will, but that's a different story for a different time as we continue to look at one of my favorite years in professional wrestling history, 1989. We're going to party like it's 1989. Remember, you're going to have to write down what that song is because I'm not going to remember.
It was Red Hot Chili Peppers.
We're doing a contest.
Oh, sorry, did I just ruin it? That one he just sang was Prince. But it wasn't 89, it was 99. You know what I'm...
What do we got? What do we got? We have
I'm confuserated.
What?
I'm confuserated.
You're confuserated. Well, you know what? If anyone guesses it before Marty just gave the answer, we'll give you an autographed picture and I'll mail it to you personally. All right, now.
But I need help right here. This is, as far
What
as
do you
I
got?
knew, was Alabama.
Yeah.
And their emblem in
It's very close,
Atlanta
very
Braves.
similar.
This is definitely the Braves because it's got the National
Yeah.
Baseball League, the Major League thing. And there was supposed to be a little swoosh of a difference. It's the only thing between Alabama's A and these. But do you see any difference?
I don't have my glasses on, but
Do y'all
when
see
I looked
any-
at it earlier, there's not much of a difference.
I don't think there is. So I'm wondering, is this an
Does
Atlanta?
the A stand for Annie?
Or that would be AEA.
As it is anonymous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Annie, we hope you're doing well wherever you may be. Wrestling fans, we ask you, where were you February the 3rd, 1989?
I was somewhere turning. I don't know what.
I'm going to tell you where you were.
Where was I?
Almost a year to
Wait
the
a minute.
day.
What are we
wait.
doing? What are we dedicating?
Hawk and Animal, the Legion of Doom,
Yep,
the Zubaz,
the
baby.
Zubaz.
Joe Laurinaitis, rest in peace, our friend. And even Mike, even though it's been 17, 18 years
Has
now.
it been that long?
2003.
Holy shit.
You know what? I didn't know him as well as I did Joe, but I liked him an awful lot too.
Oh, he was great.
Stand-up guy. He helped. We did a fundraiser. I don't know if you were familiar with it, but Bushwhacker Butch got a bad staph infection and almost died.
I heard
Luke
about it.
went to his home. He didn't hear from him, so Luke went to his home, and he found him in bed covered in piss and shit. And we did a live event fundraiser for him to try and raise some money. And you know what he did with the money we raised?
What he did?
You talk about, you hear stories about guys throwing things and money going to waste. He bought a computer, and he was actually able to do
But this is Bush or Luke?
Luke. No, I'm sorry, Butch. But he actually bought a computer, and he got a job at home doing customer service work over the phone. Now, can you imagine? I don't know what it was for, but just say, he's working for Samsung, and you have an issue with your television, and you call, and it's fucking...
You go, yay, mate!
Bushwhacker Butch
Throw that TV against the wall.
is taking your call. I just thought that was great. I'm glad he put the money to good use. Jim Neidhart fucked us so bad on that event. I hate to say it because he's dead,
Yeah.
but fuck Jim Neidhart. You want to know how pissed I got, Marty?
I'm scared to now.
Can I tell my story?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
It
scared.
fits the time frame. This
Okay.
is December of 2001. It's only our second live event we ever ran because Ed Cohen stopped using me in July of 01 with the WWF stuff. So December of 01 now, we're doing this event for Butch. He's in bad shape. A lot of the boys, Hawk helped out big time with an Animal, donating pictures and stuff like that. Obviously, Luke sent Bushwhacker stuff along. WWE, we actually had to go to Titan Towers. They found these beautiful framed old school posters in some warehouse of the Bushwhackers. It was an interesting experience touring Titan Towers the morning of the event we had. But anyway, Neidhart contacted us, not vice versa. He contacted us about wanting to come to the event. But there was some, the flight was insane. It was like $1,500 to fly him in from Calgary, and he offered to come in for nothing.
Sorry, I can imagine, yeah.
So I said, you know what? I said, I appreciate it. I said, it's awfully nice of you, but I can't afford $1,500. He said, well, what if you do this?
You tried to get him down to 1,400?
No, he was going to come in he just wanted the airfare. He just wanted to be flown in and put in a hotel. He was going to do it for nothing, for free.
Yeah.
Well, there's more to the story. So
yeah,
I said,
I can already imagine.
I said, we can't afford $1,500. It would take away from the fundraiser. You know what I mean? We were trying to help Butch live. And so he comes back with, well, you know what? If you send me $500,
Oh, boy.
I'll use my frequent flyer miles. I want to see a friend of mine for Christmas.
No, don't do it.
I think you know where
You
the
made me
story is
spit my
going.
damn paper tooth out.
Well, what happened was, I guess the friend,
You say what happened?
the
was?
quote-unquote friend in Annie in New Jersey, she
Hey,
decided to go to visit her family for Christmas. So all of a sudden, Jim Neidhart fell off the map after sending him the $500.
Yeah, you ain't gonna find him unless you
for the
find out where he went to
frequent
party.
flyer miles. So let me tell you how angry I was. I still held out hope that there was goodness in Jim Neidhart's heart.
There is goodness in heart, but that other stuff speaks louder.
It was December 28th. It was a couple of days after Christmas. Like I said, the morning of the event, we had to drive to Titan Towers in Stamford. They emailed me in the evening on the 27th. It was so late they couldn't even FedEx it overnight to get us these posters. We had to go and physically pick them up at Titan Towers. So imagine the day of this big event, we had to, 6 in the morning, drive to Stamford. We got there so early, Kevin Kelly wasn't even in the office yet. So we had to wait. The driver got pissed. You know how the entrance is at Titan Towers, right?
Yes,
So he
I do.
backed up. He waited for someone to drive in that had the security card, and he followed them into the Titan Tower parking lot as the gimmick was coming down. So we went and parked, and guess what we were greeted by at the door? You can't imagine how many security guards. After we explained why we were there, they finally let us in. Very nice to us.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin finally got to the office. Hi, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. I said, what would you do in a situation with Neidhart? He said, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. So I'm like, fuck. I still held out hope there was goodness in that man's heart, but
There is. I mean, you got to understand, unless you've ever been caught in what we call the grip, it's got you. In other words, it's got you. You're not you.
you know what? To be fair, let me finish the story.
Okay.
And then
Sorry.
since you know Jim,
Yep.
to be fair, you tell us the Jim Neidhart you know, because I
Okay.
think two sides to every story, right?
Right. Yeah, you know him from one meeting him once. I know him from knowing him for years.
So the fucking guy, he no-shows the event. And this is our second live event. It's still kind of, for me to be responsible for everything and everyone, it's still a new thing to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was actually Road Dogg, of all people, that was trying to calm me down about it. He said, brother, he said, Jim Neidhart's fucked. He said, you can't blame yourself. You know what? He said, the fans, they're either going to understand or they're not going to understand. Road Dogg went out there and he
I'll
really...
go with not understand.
He tried to help the cause a great deal. But WWE, if you just saw the beautiful, in addition to those Bushwhacker framed 24 by 36 frame posters, they gave us this, it was a banner used at the No Mercy pay-per-view, and it was signed by like 50 stars. Whoever the hell won that's got to be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. We did it as a raffle that night at the event to help raise money for Butch. But anyway, so after the event, obviously, I emailed Jim to see what happened, and that's what he said. His friend decided to go away, and he couldn't make it. So I'm like, well, what difference did your friend make in you coming to the event or not? So he was an asshole about it. So you know what I did?
How was the asshole he raised up?
He was like, basically, go fuck yourself. So you know what my response was?
No, what was your response?
I went to updatebostonwrestling.com.
And you didn't dog him.
And I said, if you'd like to ask Jim Neidhart why he didn't come to the event, I posted his phone number on the front page.
Oh, man, damn.
And let me tell you,
I can't get too mad at you for that.
Jim was not happy with Dan Marati when I did that.
I can't get too mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
He stole.
I did it. He didn't mean to. I did it for, I did that to Pat Tanaka one time.
What do you mean you did
maybe
it to
twice.
Pat Tanaka?
Put his phone number on the internet.
Oh, you did it as a rib.
No, he got mad at him because he had done something that kind of cost me a body part.
Oh, what?
And well, not lost it. Like, still got all my limbs.
But what
All of
happened?
them.
Why did you
And-
have heat with Pat Tanaka?
Well, I didn't have heat, but when I was living over in England, in Liverpool,
Yeah.
well, I wasn't living there. I was there. Well, I was living there. It was like 3 or 4 months. Touring with Brian Dixon, great man. I loved it. I forgot what the name of his organization. It came to the
Hell of
end
an
of the tour.
organization.
Yeah, it came to the end of the tour, and he wanted to keep me on. He goes, "Can you stay another month or two?"
Wow.
And man, this was I was 42, 40 years old, something like that. And was it 50?
Talking around the year.
What year is this?
2021.
So we're still in 1989.
We're still in 1989.
Damn.
We got a long way to go to catch up.
But
You're going to have to move here. Forget about Brian Dixon.
It was right when Yokozuna died because he was
that
on
was
tour.
October of 2000.
2000 then. Because he was on the other tour with Scott Conway's tour.
Oh, it's right. He was in England when he died. Yep.
Yes, because we were on the other tour with Brian Dixon.
And you know what? Oh, you go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
No, that's funny because that was a month before I started working with Ed Cohen in WWF. Because the first time I did anything with them was Survivor Series of 2000. Yoko died the night of, I think it was called No Mercy. Whatever the October 2000 pay-per-view was, Junior got the big push.
I'm surprised you don't know.
Junior got the big push and was working with Austin in this main event. And Yoko died.
Yeah,
you talk about, oh my God.
We got the call.
That was one of the biggest nights of Junior's life. Junior is Rikishi.
Right.
Well, some people might not know him as Junior.
And you know what that really made me piss me off a little bit?
Why?
Well, because he died. There, he was having problems with his weight, and it was straining on his heart, and it just became too much for him. His heart gave up. I guess that's the best way you would say that. I don't, know the proper way to say that, but the dirt sheets. When I say dirt sheets, I don't mean wrestling dirt sheets. There's damn sure a lot of those, but the Inquirer and the bullshit sheets.
The Observer, the Torch.
Yeah, Alien got my damn dog pregnant type of places. Shit sheets. They, it was like the next day we're over there, and they are big on their magazines over in England. There's racks of them. There's 30 or 40 of them. National Enquirers and Globe and all the stupid shit. And there's pictures of Yoko sitting there, and big ass. Remember his outfit? He had the red bottoms and it's different titles for each one of them. One of them said, "Pro wrestler dies eating 600 boiled eggs."
Oh, please.
Yeah, another one was tarantula scares him. That was probably coming out of your nose.
That's funny. I heard that story somewhere.
Yeah, tarantula
he
scared
had a heart
him to
attack
death.
because he saw the spider. But how the hell would anyone know that unless they were in the room with him? Because I think he was in his hotel when he passed.
Yeah, he was. He didn't come down. The way they found out was, come down for the vans to take you to the town, and he was usually one of the first ones down. The way Virgil was always, this is gonna be a shocker. Virgil was always late, and Virgil even was there, and they were like, "Will somebody go up and get him?" They went and knocked on his door.
I shouldn't say that.
Do what?
I was going to say the wrong one passed.
Oh damn! No, Virgil's all right.
No,
Man.
he's not. Pain in the ass.
He's still all right though.
Well, I'm glad you like him.
Yeah, he's my bro.
I remember Tony Atlas gave him my phone number, and I wanted to slit Tony's throat.
Good job, Tony. That's a real thing.
You want to hear a fucking great story now? You know what? We're having fun. We're getting off script already. But Virgil kind of ties into 1989. He was around. We did, what WrestleCon is? WrestleMania weekend, the big fan fest?
You're asking me that.
Do you know? But I mean, are you familiar with it, that it exists?
Been at it.
We went down to the one in New York. The last one they had, the weekend of WrestleMania 35. We were with Tony, Dutch Mantel, and Jerry Briscoe. Jerry Briscoe was great because he was there on Vince's dime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, Tony said, Dan. Virgil looking to sign at the show. I figure maybe you can get him some room at your table. I'm like, I'm trying to sell my own shit. You think I want to put up with fucking him? Virgil called me, I don't know how many times, and I didn't answer. I didn't want to deal with him.
Dan, I gotta make some money, man.
I didn't want to
make some money.
So fucking, I don't know if we went out to eat or if we went to get. I remember we had Dutch Mantel and we had the little Dutch boy Wes Simcoe, who you haven't met yet, but he's a little fella from Holland. He was there helping.
A Dutch Harlem boy?
No, Holland.
Harlan.
Holland.
Huh?
Like Amsterdam.
Oh, Holland.
Holland.
Man, you're gonna have to work on that Boston accent.
It's
wicked.
So we get back to the hotel, and guess who's in the lobby of the
No,
hotel
he ain't.
waiting for us?
No, he ain't.
Fucking Virgil. I said, I am not dealing with this fucking guy. I'm in no mood. I told you, I was having a CRPS attack. I'll show you the pictures on my phone. This leg that was like
They
this
have an arthritis one now.
compared to this one. I was in so much pain, and I had an even bigger pain in the ass waiting for me in the hotel lobby. I said,
Yeah, because Virgil does have the big one.
I said, there's got to be a side entrance to this place.
Damn.
So we circled the hotel, and we're at a Hilton Garden Inn, somewhere in Newark, New Jersey, with Dutch Mantell is in worse shape than me. I don't know if you've seen him. He broke his leg during his
Dutch?
run with Swagger. Yeah,
Oh, shit.
It's awful.
That's why he disappeared, because he was there for a minute.
Yeah, his leg is almost. I hate to say it almost looks like a candy cane. So he's in a lot of pain, the poor guy.
Oh,
And I think
man.
the
Sorry,
world.
Dutch.
I'm not shooting on Dutch.
Yeah,
I
I
think
love
Dutch
Dutch,
is
man.
great. Dutch was actually going to be with us, but he had a health spell and he had to cancel the appearance. But hopefully we'll have him sooner than later, because Dutch is a great guy.
Yeah,
so
he
we came up with this plot. The driver dropped us off at the side door, and me, the little Dutch boy from Holland, and Dutch Mantell, who's physically in worse shape than me, snuck in through the side door while Virgil was waiting at the front door to try and get booked at our table. Well, I thought when we made it back to the
You
room,
weren't going to get away from that, brother.
All
I can
is
tell you
well.
right now.
Then we show up at the Hilton in Times Square
Who was already
for the
there.
event. He's already fucking there waiting for me. This guy was like AIDS. I couldn't get rid of him. It was like the STD that wouldn't quit. He said, "Oh, brother, hey," like he was my friend.
Well, yeah, it was that weekend.
You know what? It was at the point where I was in so much pain. I let me be cordial to people, especially people that have been in the business and done more than me. I have so much respect for them, but he was just such a pain in the ass. I said, I literally said, Jerry Briscoe's coming from WWE. I have no room for you. You're going to have to talk to the people that run the convention. And then he vanished.
I will tell you all a quick Virgil story that I probably told on here before.
I don't remember Virgil stories.
Virgil, and if you got the little kiddies right now, either cover their ears or tell them to leave the room real quick. But Virgil was known to hell. We wouldn't take a shower when he was taking a shower. So he turned around real quick to get water in the front. They'll sling around and hit you. You're like, man, hey man, you know them showers, the circular that go around. We had 20.
Thanks, brother.
If he turned around real fast.
Now imagine what Lanny Poffo could do if he was as endowed as Virgil.
Well, for white boy it was. But now you made me forget what I was going to say about Virgil. I mean, it wasn't a matter of having a filter. A filter means you know better, but hey, I'm going to say what I feel. Virgil's just different.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Virgil. If you hear this, I love you to death, Virg. But we're on the airplane. And Virgil would, you know how he is. No matter what subject it is, hey, we got to get some money, buddy. We got to get some money. Or with you, like, I'm here. Get a table, give me a table, I'm here. He gets stuck on something, he's stuck on something. And on this particular, what I'm talking about, we was on a plane, flight going somewhere, and it was some pretty stewardess, and, this one was real sad. She was depressed and almost crying, but she was doing her job.
The stewardess was almost crying?
Yeah, there was something wrong with her. She was upset about something.
Almost
Nobody
like the
knew,
John Candy at Fridays that waited on us last time. Kind of sad
man.
looking, yeah.
She was a sweetheart, though.
I'm sure.
Let's go see her tonight.
Closes at 9.
10, you said.
No, 9.
Boston shuts down. They're so scared.
It's awful.
When
It's awful.
What's the date right now?
The day we're taping this?
Right now, yeah.
November 21st.
No, I mean, did it shows?
This show is January 21st.
Oh, so Biden's president. This probably, COVID's gone now.
Sleepy woke up. Yeah, by January, who knows what the restrictions are going to be. But
Yeah.
as of right now, It's horrible if you're a night. I'm a night person, so it sucks.
As of the date we're taping this, COVID's running rampant up here.
It's like Hulkamania.
Yeah, man. There's
running
still
wild.
still people wearing plastic on their feet in the gym. I went to the gym this morning. I told you.
Were there more people doing that again?
No, but I thought I'd just throw that in. But oh man, it's horrible. You can't. They're closing the restaurant. You said 10.
No, you have to be in
by 9.
and
Okay.
out by 9:30, quote unquote.
Can you imagine if a girl told you that on sex?
No, it's been a long.
But
I'd be lucky with Linda to get that much time. But
man, we got kids
I hope
watching.
the kids
Oh
don't.
yeah, I told y'all to come from, and this wasn't why.
Yvonne and Brent, go to bed.
But what I was going to say was, Virgil's on the plane, and the girl, is coming down with a cart to serve the beverages and whatever. And Virgil sees she's
sad.
Yeah, and we all noticed because she was real pretty. So everybody always feels sorry for the pretty girl. Nobody cares about the big
The unhappy, ugly one. Yeah.
AEA.
Yeah. The Keith Frank of the Hilton of Boston.
Yeah, and so Virgil, what's the matter? And she was like, oh, nothing. I go, no, what's the matter? Something wrong? My boyfriend. And you go, and I mean, this is out loud. Everybody around, within 4 rows of seats, can hear. Because Virgil's loud. He don't talk quietly. He ain't got a big dick like me, does he? He got a little bit old dick. He can't please you. And we're all like, oh my God. Oh man, we didn't want to know Virgil. He couldn't believe he would say that out. All these people that are not with us, they're passengers on the plane. And I'm looking back at Virgil like,
And this is during your WWF days? Or
Yeah, it was.
And how did this unhappy stewardess react to Virgil's
It
comments
made her
about
stop
his
crying because
endowment?
she was in shock. Maybe that was Virgil's intention. There's a method to his madness.
He was that massive that he was renowned for his girth?
Pretty much.
Really? That was the one talent that he had.
Yeah, well, that's my boy. I can't say no.
Oh, I didn't know
Oh,
your
yes.
buddy was with him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's got quite the personality.
But you got to blame nature. He was born that way.
Yeah.
He can't help it that he don't think like the rest of us.
Didn't he become?
You don't think like the rest of us.
That's for sure.
I certainly don't.
Didn't he become like a gym teacher or something at one point?
I wouldn't doubt it. Let me tell you another thing about Virgil. You could always tell when he was in the gym, because everywhere we go to a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And, you work out, you pace yourself, like you want to take whatever amount of break, 30, 45, a minute. You don't want to go more than a minute and a half between sets. You want to keep it going. We would always hear this beep, beep. And you would always look at each other like, Virgil's in here. He would take a stopwatch. I've never seen anybody else do this. And I've been in the gym since I was 14. He would take a stopwatch to the gym. When he'd do his set, he would set up and he'd push it, and he had it set for when it was 1 minute, it beep. That means do the next set. You get a clock in your head after so many repetitions of doing something. But he would. Now he's dedicated. You see, he's built like hell. He's dedicated.
He's still in good shape.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how old he is, but.
Yeah, but he was the only person to stopwatch this in between sets. So beep. It's been 1 minute. But,
I feel for Ted DiBiase with that man chasing him around the country, trying to latch on to every personal appearance he gets.
There was a picture somewhere. I wish we had it. I'll send it to you maybe when you edit this and do all this stuff. You can put it up right here. Virgil was somewhere. It had to be Texas because he's out in the parking lot. The building, the Coliseum, is right here. He's out in the parking lot with a table and a little banner right in the front, and it says, what did it say? Virgil bodyguard for Ted DiBiase, and he's got the name DiBiase spelled wrong.
So he's showing up at probably, what, a WWE show to try
I don't
and
know
sell
what the
his
show
pictures?
was,
And
but
DiBiase
it was the
spelled
thing.
wrong.
People, you could see a couple people walking by, they were looking at him like, what the fuck is this? What's this about? And in the background, as if that wasn't bad, there's a tumbleweed. It's just like blowing by. And it was like, oh man. And for him, that wouldn't even embarrass him.
He has no shame.
You know, another thing he did at signings, I witnessed this, and I told him, now, Virgil, don't come over here, man. Don't come sit next to me after that. He'd be real friendly when you get bored at like the conventions and it's slowing down. He'd walk out there in the traffic, you know, where the people are walking by. And they would say, when they recognized him, Virgil. He walked right up to him with his pictures. What's your name? Oh, my name's Mark. And they're feeling like he's, to Mark and handed to him. Oh, thank you. He goes, $20. They're like, oh, I thought, I thought you was giving it. I can't resell it. You got your name on it. You see me put your name on it. So a lot of times they would pay the 20 or whatever it was he was charging.
He reminds me of those people that you see in Times Square in New York City. They come up to you with like a CD.
The Naked Cowboy
and they're like,
or whatever.
No, they're like, oh, here, brother, check out my CD. It's got some great tunes. Oh, all right, thank you. $5. It's like, I don't want it. No, $5. That's what Virgil's like with 8x10 stills.
Yeah.
No one wants them, but it's almost like being Me Too'd on Twitter. Hashtag Me Too with Virgil 8x10.
You know,
Everyone,
Sheik was still the best at it, though.
what do you mean?
At hustling off his pictures. I told you.
I have never known of him to do it quite like that.
Who?
She.
What's that? What I told you before?
Yeah, what you just said about Virgil.
Oh, Virgil. Yeah, I was there. I'm watching him do that.
No, but I've never known
man, some
Sheik
people
to do
almost.
that.
No. Sheik had a better one.
Let's hear this one now.
He didn't rip nobody off though.
He just hustled.
Yeah. Well, same. Yeah. He would pull a picture of him and Stone Austin. Let's start calling him Stone Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Right there, picture of them together, 8x10.
It's got the WWE logo on it, but it's a bootleg picture.
Yeah, well, and it says the best two world champions, both were, whatever it said there, world champions. And she goes, you cannot believe it. It's the last picture. Two greatest, fuck the Hulk Hogan. These are the two best world champions ever. Last picture. I let this one go, $25. Last picture of the two greatest, fuck the Hulk Hogan. The best. People would come up there real quick to get the last one. As soon as they walk off, we reach under the table.
And they had another one.
Last picture.
That I admire more than the Virgil style, because Virgil's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has some great stories to tell. I would never want him in that seat. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, that would be entertainment for the people.
But not for me.
They would be going like,
not for
is
me.
this for real?
Not for me. And I'm the one that would have to deal with them from beginning to end.
You got to take the pain with the glory, bro.
Do you think it would be worth it to have Virgil?
I think the people would be entertained. Isn't that what we're here for? It'll be a different type of entertainment because y'all won't believe it. Y'all be like,
with all of his lies.
It'll make everybody feel better about their own life.
All right, wrestling fans, as usual, we go off topic. Why don't we?
What was the topic?
1989.
What
But
about
Virgil was around in 1989, so not
you
totally.
came in with DiBiase.
But right now, wrestling fans, we're going to take a brief timeout. When we come back, we'll get to the main point of contention as we roll into February 1989. One hell of a year in the World Wrestling Federation. Stand by.
World Wrestling Federation was live at the Yellowstone Metro in Billings, Montana, Tuesday, January the 21st, 1986, where the WWF had to use the Billings Amateur Boxing Association ring as the wrestling ring never showed up. In the opening contest, Hercules beat S.D. Jones. King Tonga with the win over Barry O. Adrian Adonis defeated George Wells. The British Bulldogs victorious over the Hart Foundation. King Kong Bundy beat Lanny Poffo. And in the main event, WWF Intercontinental Champion Tito Santana retained the title over Jesse the Body Ventura via countout. If you were in Billings Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. I don't know who I'm with right now. Are you Wim?
No, MJ up in the house. Who's Wim?
Well, you know Wim. You know the one we've dined with before?
WIM?
WIMB.
Wim.
Wim?
No.
No, he's still trying to find it.
Drawing blanks.
Maybe you Glantz.
Shooting blanks.
Glantz has
Glantz?
probably been shooting blanks.
Did
I don't
y'all
know.
notice I had to change? It's not COVID.
It's not COVID. Well, what is it then?
You got moccasin breath.
I got what?
Moccasin breath.
Moccasin breath.
Yeah.
How does one get moccasin breath?
I don't know. Did you eat a moccasin?
I certainly did not. I haven't eaten all day. The day of the tapings is
You need to
fans.
start eating because you get weird at the end of the day.
Tony says that to me every time. He said,
Well, you need to
carbs make the brain happy because he knows I never eat the day of a taping or an event until the show is over because I'm tense, because I want everything to go right, and I don't relent until I'm satisfied with the ending, which leads to many miserable days, but I have a nice meal at the end of the day.
Oh, you're in trouble. But what'd you do with my phone? Where's my phone?
Oh, is it with the belt?
Oh, yeah, we left it there.
That's its official home.
Okay.
And I'm going to take my phone out
Hey,
too.
we messed up.
Well, how did we mess up?
Matt Daddy caught it. Look, earlier we were confused-rated by the fact that the emblems are the same, but this is Alabama and
You
this is...
pointed that out already.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we said they're the same. But look, if you look on this one, there's a swoosh on top of the A. See how that...
It's a little different.
Yeah. So that's how, because this one's got a logo trademark thing, and this one's got the Major League Baseball trademark.
And it doesn't stand for Annie.
Yeah, it don't stand for AEA.
All right. All right, wrestling fans. February the 3rd, 1989, almost 1 year from one of the biggest days in the history of professional wrestling. On February 5th, 1988, 33 million people tuned in to see Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant on NBC. A year later, not quite the rating. It did a 15 share in 1989. It did almost in 1988, it did about a 15 rating-wise. In 1989, it fell to an 11.
Damn.
Still many.
Did you put some shit over here?
No,
Everything smells.
I don't know what you have there in your
Oh,
arms.
it's a tangerine or something.
Whatever it is. All right.
But my hands... Oh,
Well, I can't explain.
Oh, man, I forgot.
Do I want to know?
Probably not. They shouldn't know.
All right. Well,
But when I was wiping earlier, you got that cheap-ass toilet paper there. My fingers went through.
well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Remember old Bushwhacker Luke? I told you.
Yes, he would have been standing there keeping guard over the...
he would be in the stall right before his match, and his opponent, if he went in to take a shit, he better wash his hands before he goes to the ring. I've never seen nobody else do that.
That's an interesting one. Well, on February the 3rd, 1989, what do we got here in the notes here, fans? Just about an 11.5 rating, which was almost considered...
Who did?
WWE.
Okay.
A decline on NBC, even though it was well over 10 million people that tuned in to watch Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage take on Hakeem and Big Boss Man, the Twin Towers, on NBC's Friday night, the main event. It set up the big Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage match for WrestleMania 5 when Macho Man accidentally took a spill on Miss Elizabeth. The Hulkster, the hero that he was, scooped up Elizabeth and took her to the locker room while the WWF World Champion Randy Savage went to war with Hakeem in The Boss Man. They had some Bad Days of Our Lives type skits in the background where Hulk Hogan started talking Connie to give him a countdown, even though they were already live on NBC at that point. You worked the Brainbusters in a dark match that night in Milwaukee.
What kind of match?
A dark match. Dark. A dark match. Any memories of the big night of the main event as Hogan and Savage was set up for WrestleMania 5?
Is that the one where they almost got in a fight in the dressing room afterwards?
For real?
It looked pretty serious.
Well, I'm talking, this is 1989 when they worked Boss Man and Hakeem. Hogan scooped up Elizabeth and took her to medical people in the back.
Oh, okay.
And then after the match,
there was another time he scooped her, and Macho Man thought he scooped her too close, and I'd seen a feat of strength I'd never seen before.
What was that?
And so this might have been a little further down when Hulk, when I say further down the line on storylines, but it could have originated.
Well, this
from right
is
there.
February of '89, and it climaxed at WrestleMania 5 in April.
When you party and do a whole lot of drugs.
Well, tell us what happened then.
No, but so on
So
this
Macho
particular,
thought at one point Hogan scooped Elizabeth.
this is when they were wrestling each other. And they had it was a pretty good storyline, pretty
Great
good angle
storyline.
because they were the two American heroes.
They were the Mega
whatever.
Powers.
That's it, Mega Powers, and then they turned or whatever caused the turn. Was that what?
That was the night of the turn.
That was what
in
caused
Milwaukee.
it.
Yep.
Okay, well this was not even a TV show. What I mean is it wasn't
TV
taped.
taping,
It was
yep.
a TV taping, and a TV show. But Randy come back to the Hulk come back to the dressing room first. After the match, I didn't even see it. They always have closed circuit, so the guys can watch the match. Not always, but a lot of times, you can watch the match without doing this through the curtains, and the people are seeing you.
Yep.
You know, and I didn't get to see it, but I seen. I got to remember who came in first in the dressing room, and I think Randy came in first. And he sat somewhere across from, me and him were buddies by then, kind of good friends.
You guys were buddies.
Yeah. And he sat across, well, I was buddies with Hulk too, but I'm close with Randy. I never got, Hulk is just sort of, you can't get next to him, and that's fine. I don't want to get next to him, but you just don't get to enter the Hulk. Except unless you're Knobs. I don't know how Knobs did it, but I got an idea though. But Randy sat over there and on the dressing room, and then Hulk comes in, and he comes through, and Hulk's a nice guy, no matter what you think of him, he's a nice guy, and he don't get mad unless he has to, which is Randy too. But he comes in the dressing room. The showers are right here, where Virgil would spin around and hit you with his, but the showers are right here. Right next to where I'm at, that's just gat. I'm sitting there, and Hulk comes up, and the carpet was kind of crinkled. It was one of them steel doors, so it wasn't like a wooden door. Steel door. The nuts, you got to use one of them Chicago Fumatics to make sure the damn thing's in there tight enough that when people open and slam, it don't come out. Well, the carpet was crunched up. Hulk goes to open it, and it caught on the carpet. It only opened like 2 or 3 inches. And he was so mad, he was like, and he yanked it out of the hinges, the steel screws out of the steel, wall thing.
Wow.
And threw it across the room. And he looked at Randy, he goes, come here. and we all in the dressing room were like this. And Randy was looking at me, he goes, okay. And he walked in there, and I'm sitting right there. You're not wanting to see two of your buddies getting into it. And they're screaming back and forth. But I would say this, even though Hulk pulled off that feat of strength, you yanked the fucking steel door off, or metal door, out of the fucking hinges, out of the railing, whatever that shit's called. and just tossed it, and one, and tossed it over and said, "Come here." that has got to be the most scariest thing to say. Okay, but Randy went there, and then screaming back and forth, and I had to peek, took a little peek, and Randy's up in his face with his finger, like brother, let me tell you what you did, kind of thing. And it got over without any fisticuffs.
What was the issue?
But it was all about.
He felt he picked up Elizabeth and touched
during the
her,
match when they did the spot on the outside. I guess Hulk either picked her up and set her behind him, which I would imagine that would make sense in the storyline because they're fussing, they're out there going head meaning Macho and Elizabeth. He's right in her face, yelling at her. He comes from behind and sets her behind him. Mm-hmm. Or, and this one wouldn't make sense as a big-time babyface, he grabbed her and put her, but he picked her up. Basically, he picked her up and set her out of the way for whatever reason. But Randy felt he got too up in here, that he, copped the feel of all fucking things with 20,000 people watching. I don't remember if it was a TV taping. I don't think it was, but closed circuit, and so, Hulk's version, because he talked to me and he was saying that after that, he goes, Randy was laying them in, like the punches, he was laying them in, and Hulk stayed professional on it, didn't retaliate in the ring. That's why when he came out the ring, so, and that's one that you'd have to want to break up because it's two of your friends. But they might squash you. You get in the middle, pow, 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 pow. Man, I'm dead. But yeah, man, that was, and it goes back to what we spoke on in a couple episodes ago. Randy, I think that was us. I've done so many interviews lately. I don't know who I told what at this point. Yeah, but they're almost pretty factual. But I mean, look, man, if we're working the show together, and I love Randy now. I don't know the word, I'm not taking a side, but I don't think Hulk grabbed her to fill her titties during a match in front of 20,000 people. But
did Randy have a great jealousy over Elizabeth?
Well, Jimmy Hart, who I love to death, he told in the interview once, and I hate the word shoot, that, at least for me.
Yeah.
And you know why, we
Yep.
talked. Can
Yep.
you still hear me? I patted my chest, and that means I patted the microphone. In a shoot interview, it's actually a WWE video, a thing that they put out on Macho Man. Mm-hmm. And that was a great one, man. I like that one. I like all of them that they put out. But that one in particular, because that's a buddy. We got close. But Jimmy Hart, and I believe him. I don't know it to be true, but I don't think Jimmy would bullshit this. Jimmy Hart.
Oh yeah.
Mouth of the South.
Yeah.
But he has said that, because Elizabeth was on the road all the time with him. You ain't got to worry about what's going on while you're on the road. She's right here with you. But he kept her away from the boys, and like Lex Luger said one time, I don't blame him. You gonna put a piece of meat in front of a piranha? And the boys, some of the boys are that way, But so I did, or some of us felt, because we know how the boys are. Some of them see no limits. Like, look, there's 1,000 girls tonight, and that's just tonight, and it's Tuesday. That's just tonight. Do you have to go over one of our wives or girlfriends? Go after? Do you have to do that? What the fuck? Come on, man.
Were people generally respectful of Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah.
There's been some stories that have been spread over the years by different WWF peers of yours that Randy would go as far as to lock her in closets. Did you ever see anything
I heard
crazy
that
like
last
that?
night in my interview that I told you I did.
Yep.
His name's Eric. He said that. I guess that was a pretty popular story. I don't know. You mean at the buildings?
Yeah.
He might have asked her, here's how stories get misconstrued. Is that a word?
Yes.
Hey, Matt, can you spell misconstrued? Is that the right word for what I'm saying? Okay, misconstrued. He might have said go in the closet to change clothes because there's not an extra dressing room for.
Right. There was in a lot of venues they didn't have a separate locker room for one woman.
Right. So he might have said go in there to change. I'll stand right here so nobody comes in, and then that got misconstrued. I'm gonna spell it M-I-S-C-O-N.
Maybe embellished. Is that a better way to put it?
Embellished.
Exaggerated. Embellished.
Well, I like misconstrued.
All right.
Let me go with that one.
All right.
Okay. Misconstrued as he's being jealous, locking her in the closet. I don't see him doing that. I do understand this a little bit, what Jimmy Hart said, that he was gone for 7 days. And just supposedly, I'm telling you what Jimmy Hart said. All you got to do is rent that video. If you have that video, go look at it. Elizabeth told him, I can't take it no more. When he's gone for 7 days, he goes and buys 21 TV dinners. And that's what I eat. I can't leave the house. He's bought everything I need to eat. And I'm in the house, so I'm home, I'm warm, I'm safe. I want to believe Jimmy on that because I don't think Jimmy would lie like that.
With the house locked, from what I was told.
Oh, really?
He would lock the house so she couldn't get out, almost like she was trapped.
That's slave. What do they call that?
Entrapping? I don't know.
Entrap or what's it called, Matt? Imprisonment, false imprisonment, or some shit.
Almost, yeah. If he was literally locking her in the home so she couldn't get out, what if there was a fire or something?
Or she did the toilet wouldn't flush. She had to shit.
Well, I mean, at least she had a lot of the TV dinners, I guess.
Which would be right at home. There's more shit. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, Randy might have been extreme like that. And I told Eric this last night. You know, the wolf, my wisdom cat, said, like, if you got a diamond sitting right here, you want to close that hand. Because if you leave it open, anybody can come by and steal it. And it seems like that's sort of like maybe that's what he was with Elizabeth. He loved her so much, he knew he had that diamond, and he wasn't giving nobody a chance to get it. Closed up around her.
Do you think maybe his obsession with protecting her or keeping her away from people led her to leaving him?
Well, hold on loosely, but don't. It's another song I'm going to say. I'm not going to finish it. We're going to leave the song part alone. We already said Red Hot Chili Peppers. But hold on loosely, don't let go. If you squeeze too tightly, you're going to lose control. It's sort of the thing. It's about, y'all guess that one. Don't tell them it's 38 special. No. But it's a. And I don't know what you asked, but please re-ask it. But
do you think that his obsession with keeping her from
I didn't mean ask it now, but go ahead.
Oh, do you think his obsession with keeping her from other people led to her leaving him eventually?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you squeeze too tightly, you're going to lose control, and that means they're gone. I
Do
ain't
you think
sticking
that
around.
ever happened with Lanny when he was servicing himself?
You'd have to ask him.
He never. Do
you think AEA
he never
ever
climaxed prematurely?
Why would you want to know something like that?
Did you ever witness it? I don't know if I've asked you.
What?
Lanny.
I watch him prematurely ejaculate?
No, I mean, did you ever see him service himself?
I told you that. We said it on this episode.
I don't remember. No, not on. We didn't.
Well, y'all probably missed the episode, so for those of y'all that missed it, Lanny was known to have a thingling.
Fellatio.
Yeah, that was long enough that he could stick at least the tip in his mouth. That's what he did. It was just a tip. But
that's right. Yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah, because he did.
Yeah, he just got the
somebody
tip
called
off.
him out like, "Hey, can you still put your, like you?" And me
he
and
said he
Sean,
had to like stretch to do it.
yeah, me and Sean were saying, because everybody had heard the rumor. Me and Sean were like, "Why would you ever leave the house and go to clubs if you can do that?"
I wouldn't want to, even if I had the ability.
Yeah,
it doesn't strike me as well.
How
everybody's different,
did you find out you could do that?
I know. I mean, at what point did you say, maybe I could
keep the kids'
maybe.
ears covered? But
Well,
so Lanny, we were in the dressing room, and it was in Houston, Texas, and not you always want to tell the place because that's where
it adds to the ambiance of the story.
Yeah, you can't spell ambiance.
Yes, you can.
I know that word was right, and spell it.
Ambiance.
Was that right, Matt Daddy?
He'll spell check later.
Matt Daddy's like...
Instead of fact checkers at debates, we have spell checkers.
Spell checker.
So in Houston, tell us about
Cracking
Houston.
his back. Somebody asked me, sorry, cracking his back. I don't know. It's been a while. Crack, 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 stretch. And we're like, it's not a gymnastics meet. Crack, crack, kicks, high kick. Well, what the fuck? And then he takes his thing-a-ling and he winds it and he stretches it out. And the more he keeps circling, it gets longer. And he goes, ready? And he did it real fast. It lasted like a third of a second, fraction of a second. And you know, the tip probably went in. But we all went crazy, like, shit, we didn't, damn. And Hogan comes walking in, all the guys are on the floor, like ready to puke, or just, because we didn't think he would really do it. We thought it was just a show. And Hogan was like, what's going on, brothers? And we're like, Lanny's put his dick in his mouth. He goes like this. And I'm trying to help him.
Hogan put him over on Saturday night's main event on NBC.
I guess that's what he
year.
meant by that. And I'm trying to help him. He
Hogan,
was just threw his hands in the air.
Himself.
What?
You think Randy might have been a little bit concerned about that?
You know what Randy would do? They both knew how to squeeze a buffalo nickel to the Indian was riding that buffalo.
Until the end of the war with the Indians,
They said the copper wire was invented by Randy and Lanny. Both had one end and they stretched it, pulled it so far from each other. Copper wire was invented. But Randy would get rooms, you know, he would get rooms. Lanny would sleep in the and I love you, Lanny. I just tell him, you know, stuff we know. I love Lanny to death.
I like Lanny too.
Yeah, he's a good brother. He's a good brother. But he was sleeping a lot of you. They saving money. We tried to save money. Yeah, in the couches and shit. You know, like you're waiting for somebody and you start slowly easing like this, slow, and then eventually you're laid off flat. And the people watching, they don't notice because you're going so slow.
You ease into it.
Yeah.
He came up for us one time, and we did a TV shoot for one of the NBC sports stations, and we went to Kowloon afterwards, our favorite restaurant.
Yeah, it's right up the street.
And when the bill came, Lanny almost left skid marks on the floor of Kowloon as he ran to the bathroom when the bill came. So
Dining
it was almost like, what's that cartoon? The Roadrunner, where the legs start moving before the... And Lanny went to the, I don't know what he did. He may have serviced, I don't know. But he was gone for quite a while as the bill was figured out.
Matt Daddy shows
Matt
we got
Daddy,
20.
baby. What's that, the second time you've been out? I can't see what that means.
That's the one.
Oh, that's the first.
Yeah,
for segment 2, right?
So y'all know what's going on. We have to time these out for the commercials.
We do.
And Matt Daddy brings out and lets us know, okay, there's 20 girls here out front right now. So you got to kind of get it close because you go ahead and you don't want to lose your posse.
Walter Hillside. You never even met
Walter. How do you spell posse?
P-O-S-S-E.
I'm glad you didn't put a U in it.
Walter Hillside has been missing since the start of Corona.
Who?
Well, you never met Big Walter.
What's he
Goliath, as you called him, as he kind of comes and goes. We don't know where Glantz is. Wim, he's still trying to find it. He wants to know where it is. What's that?
How do you come as you go?
I have no idea.
You
have to ask Lanny, I guess. I don't know. But thank God we have the prodigy, my partner in crime on the TV reviews, Matt Degnan here, so we can bring these great episodes to life. But Marty, any memories of the big NBC main event program?
A bunch of them.
No, what do you got?
Which one you want?
All of them.
No, we got 20 minutes. The main one everybody knows is the 2 out of 3 fall with, you talking about that show, right? Saturday Night Main Event.
No. You guys, this is the main event, the one that was on Friday night at 8 o'clock.
Oh, sorry about that.
You worked at the
I was on the
Brainbusters
cover.
in a dock
Remember
match.
back in the days of VHS?
Yeah.
You know those tape things
Yep.
that you go to Blockbusters and get? That was actually on the cover of one of those for main event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you know, when you're born poor, you make do with anything. You come up with all kinds of, don't throw that away. I can make something out of it. And it was so many times, and I can show you. I'll send them to you, and you can put them up there or not. But the only times I was making covers of magazines, every damn time, and it goes back to GAT. I got a hole in my damn tights right here, or I had tape around my shoe because it was falling apart, and I was like ninja rigging it. I was fixing it without spending money. It's just some tape, $1 a roll, versus new shoes, $200.
Right.
Tape. But they always made the damn magazine covers. The only times I got on the covers, there's always something wrong. There's a hole in my knee. There's a hole, there's a tape around the shoe. Or my hair does like what it does. It's shooting up in the air like a waterfall, backwards, cow licked. Cows would get sick of licking me.
Well, you still got the moth, so that's a good thing. You saw what Sean looked like the last time he wrestled.
No, I did. I missed that one.
When him and Triple H wrestled
the tag team
Undertaker and Kane in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I heard it was a good match, though.
He looked kind of like it. No, what?
I heard it. I didn't see it.
It was a disaster. Isn't even the word to describe.
Are you sure?
Oh,
I heard they. Well, see, that's what.
Sean looked kind of like a Q-tip.
He does have, like me. He's got an oblong, a weird ass head.
Well,
some people got the
there was
perfect.
nothing there. It was just a little. It was like the top of a Q-tip.
I ain't never seen the top of a Q-tip.
You know that you clean your ears with.
I know what a Q-tip is.
Well, that's kind of like what Sean looked like without the hair. No one was expecting it.
Hey, let me throw a curveball. Hey, Matt Daddy would know. For the curveball, you grip it this way, right?
Yeah, well,
And you turn it under this.
Glantz was.
And if you throw it right.
Glantz was a star pitcher too. He was the Pedro Martinez.
Oh, now I know who you're talking about.
Goliath.
Yes,
yeah,
little man.
Little
Yes.
Glantz, yeah, the star pitcher. I don't know where the hell he is, but
You
we
ain't-
miss, we
he
miss you,
didn't-
Glantz.
Miss you, brother.
We need you, Glantz.
Yeah, he was, shit, he ain't been around for 2 months.
He showed up one day, the day the power went out, and then he vanished again. Glantz is an interesting character.
Yeah, he's funny. I like Glass.
I like him too. I think he's great. He's a creative guy, and then he just vanishes. But Glantz, if you can hear us, brother, we're sending out the life preserver. There you go. But where the hell did we leave off?
I don't know, but I got to run to Flomax.
All right, one more before we go. WWE decided to go the youth movement, try and replace Gorilla Monsoon with Tony Schiavone in the commentary booth. Your thoughts on Tony Schiavone's very short run in WWF?
Yeah, I like Tony.
Better than Gorilla?
Huh?
You thought he was better than Gorilla?
Oh, no, Gorilla fit for that time frame and that setting. You couldn't have beat that. And Bobby Heenan and him, that's one of them chemistry things. You can't teach that. It's either there or it ain't. Now, those two, just like Jesse Ventura and Vince had great chemistry. Gate chemistry. Gate, that's my cat. Yeah, but Gate is Gator Wolf. It's short for Gator Wolf. That's the wolf. That's the wisdom king.
All right, well, that's good.
Well, for y'all don't know it, that's my cat. One of my cats is a wisdom king.
Did you engage with Tony at all? Did you think he just
Tony
was?
Atlas?
No, it's Schiavone.
Not much. No, we do, hey, how you doing? And, respect.
Did you think he was a good fit coming from the NWA to WWF? Because I, as a fan at that point, as a kid, I didn't like him compared to Vince and Gorilla.
Oh, I kind of missed out on that because I
You
used
didn't
to.
hear him, yeah, right.
I used to party a lot. We got a break. I got to run.
All right, wrestling fans.
Wait,
well,
damn, that was a abrupt cut.
Oh, all right. Well, you said you got to go. You got to go.
Yeah, there's 20 girls like an hour ago. Got to go.
All right. Well, I'll wrap it up then, I guess. Marty.
No, we're coming back.
No, we're wrapping it up, baby.
All right, cut real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, wrestling fans. Well, you heard it from Marty himself. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Flomax.
If you are watching live, hopefully you're commenting in the little chat. The super chat button is open for business. Send us a tip. Don't forget to tip the bartender for the great wrestling entertainment we're providing you. The Patreon is very important, fans. Patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. You get early ad-free access to all of our in-studio shoot interviews every week. You get access to the Studio Shoot Interview DVD library that's been heard around the world, some even on the Howard Stern Show. Plus,
hopefully this
you're helping
ain't
keep
recording
professional
over the show.
wrestling legends working. In addition to that, almost all of the great merchandise we have here is available on eBay. You can click the link in the description box below or visit bostonwrestling.com and hit the store button. We also have that great T-shirt bundle going on where you get, for the price of a WWE Shop T-shirt, you get a shirt, you get a free WWE cup, you get a mystery autograph photo, and you get an on-air shout-out thank you from the Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. One hell of a deal for my partner in crime right now that hopefully shut off his microphone before we reached the men's room. I'm Dan Marotti. We'll see you next Thursday night for Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. Don't forget, tomorrow night after SmackDown, it's a fabulous Friday with John Cena Sr., 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Good night.
The Royal Rumble is the second biggest event of 2021, and it's going to be even bigger. During our Wrestling Insider pay-per-view watch-along is the former Raw main eventer himself. John Cena Sr. will be in studio live during the big event. We'll watch the Royal Rumble, take some questions, sign some autographs, and make this year's Royal Rumble as interactive as it can be without you being there in person. Get ready for John Cena Sr. live during the Royal Rumble, January 31st.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marotti along with John Cena Sr. It was a wild night on SmackDown, but you never know how wild things are going to be on this show, baby.
We're going for it. Let's do it.
It was a big week. We had Tony Atlas with us on Tuesday.
ED.
Did you see that episode?
Ed, I know Ed.
But did you see that episode of Life Advice with Tony?
Do you know what?
I almost fell out of the chair when we
I
talked
love that
about
man.
ED.
I love that man. Tony, my best brother. I love you.
ED. I don't know what it is. What is the virus? That, I've cracked up on the show before.
Is there
as
a
you
vaccine
know.
for that?
He's hoping. If he, but back in the fall, we had our issue and we discussed Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights, and I almost fell out of the chair in an unedited, in a version we never aired. But when he mentioned ED, I laughed so hard I saw stars.
What is it?
And then I'm asking teenagers that are fresh out of high school going into college, do you guys know what ED is? Yes. And poor Tony, sitting there eating his chicken wings with duck sauce all over his fingers, smacking his lips, trying to figure out what ED is.
I love that man. I love him.
You never know what to expect Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, folks. But here on Wrestling Insiders, we're fielding some of your questions, not to be confused with my Let's Field. That's a different story for a different time. But Tony, Sports Illustrated released their thoughts on the Professional Wrestlers of the Year. Do you know who they selected as the 2020 Professional Wrestler of the Year? Because it just about knocked me out of my chair as much as Tony in the ED comment.
Now, who was that?
Sasha Banks.
Okay.
Johnny, now I know you are a proponent, big time, of women's wrestling.
I am.
I know you know Sasha very well from her time on the Independents.
I do.
From the times I interacted with her on a limited basis, I thought she was a lovely lady.
She is.
She puts forth 110% effort every time she goes in and out of that squared circle.
She does.
She represents the industry well.
She does.
But if I could think of a list of 50 top wrestlers from 2020, I don't know if I would have put Sasha on that list.
Well, I think she belongs on the list. There's no question. If you have a list, maybe the top 10, I would agree. She belongs somewhere in that top 10.
And maybe of women's wrestlers.
That's correct. But to take and say, this is it? This is a drug-free workplace, isn't it?
What is Sports Illustrated thinking? I mean, there are people that think Sports Illustrated lacks credibility by covering professional wrestling to begin with. Then you're going to crown Sasha the professional wrestler of 2020? I mean, there's too many guys to name whose bodies of work that I could go through. And it's nothing against Sasha. I'm not trying to bash women's wrestling. It's just not as believable to me, and it lacks the credibility that the more stiffer men's wrestling has. Now, you know what? if you wanted to say it was Asuka is the wrestler of the year, if you really wanted to put a woman in that slot, I can at least say when Asuka goes out to wrestle, to me, she goes out there and works a style that is, quote unquote, she works like one of the boys. And that's not meant to demean her. That's actually a very high compliment. She goes out there and works a stiff wrestling style. Sasha and Bayley go out there and it's almost like cosplay. Well, I want to do Macho Man's moves because I loved him, and I want to do Eddie Guerrero's moves because I loved him. And then even though we're enemies, we can cry and hug, and it takes away from the ambiance and the atmosphere of the presentation. And it's not a personal attack against Sasha Banks by any stretch of the imagination. She does what she loves, and she does it with great passion. She does it with everything she has in her. I just think with her body frame and what her body is capable of doing, it's not comparable to what the majority of what the larger, more muscular, better athlete male wrestlers can do.
She's sustained quite a few injuries. She's a very talented young lady. I would have thought what Sports Illustrated would have done might have been a male and female wrestler of the year. I think that would make a lot more sense, at least in your opinion. In my opinion also. I'm not taking anything away from anyone. I worked with her on the independent circuit. Amazing young lady. She wasn't sure whether she was going to stay or not. I remember the last time I worked with her in Webster, Mass. It was a case of yay or nay, and we had a long discussion. Her mom was there, and you know what? She's an outstanding human being. She really is. So if you want to make it woman, male, I'm all for it. But to say that you are the creme de la creme of the entire world of professional wrestling, I'm not sure. And again, forgive me, Sasha, I'm not sure that really does much for the business.
And to make matters worse, I think Bayley was like number 5. I mean, what were they smoking at Sports Illustrated when they came up with this list? Is this the wet dream of the author?
Who wrote the article, number one?
That I don't know.
And number two, what's the criteria for selection? What's the basis for selection?
I read the article to some degree. They would list 3 standout matches that they had of the year and then some thought process behind it. But I mean, I think she's a very nice person. I think she has gone out and tried to revolutionize women's wrestling, and I tip my cap to her for that. But for her to be, I know what I just said probably sounded very cruel, that I wouldn't put her on a top 50 list. It's just a lot of what she does in the ring, it doesn't look real to me. And when you put on a professional wrestling show, what you should be trying to emulate is physical violence and physical athleticism. When half of these offensive moves don't look like they'd crack an egg, I don't know that that makes someone wrestler of the year.
I won't disagree with your comments. I think Bayley was a hot deal. I mean, I enjoy watching her as a heel.
You like Bayley?
Bayley is good. I mean, I was at a live show and I was cheering for Bayley and Sasha, and I remember Bayley turning to me from the ring, looking down and saying, "Shut up, John Cena's father." Going, well, okay, I'll just switch this around. But there again, in character, right from the ring. I don't know about this one. I'd have to read the article. Again,
well, I'm going to have to find the link and send it to you.
Sports
and see what
Illustrated,
you think.
in my opinion,
They shouldn't even cover pro wrestling.
well, but you know what? I disagree.
Why?
I really disagree. Professional wrestling is a sport, regardless of whether we choose to believe it or not.
The athleticism, sure.
All right, so that's the criteria for Sports Illustrated.
But would they cover the Harlem Globetrotters? What they do is athletic, even though it's kind of worked basketball. Stunt basketball, if you will.
I just think that the popularity of professional wrestling has forced many people into making some decisions. Now, I think, from what I have seen of Sports Illustrated covering of professional wrestling, they look at it from an athletic entertainment standpoint, which is wise, very wise. The fact that, look, I look at Austin, I look at The Rock, I look at Cena, I look at Drew McIntyre. Who can get in that ring and go 20 minutes, 30 minutes? John and Rock, 60 minutes. I don't think you could. I don't think a football player could. All right? So you've got to recognize that at some point. So I don't take that away from them. I think it's a wise decision. But to put somebody on the pedestal like you just said has happened, and it's nothing against Sasha. Would I put her in the top 10? Absolutely. Would I put Bailey in the top 10? Absolutely. Are there other young ladies that belong in the top 10? Maybe the number 1 spot? Asuka's a great example for Female Wrestler of the Year. Now, who would you put over here for Male Wrestler of the Year? Dan Marati.
I don't think it would be him.
Oh, well, might be Brock Lesnar. Might be Drew McIntyre.
I was shell-shocked. And it takes a lot to surprise me in wrestling. And I tell you, that one surprised me.
And if I may.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No. This is the kind of show we run.
All right.
And why is it that we only recognize a wrestler from WWE?
No, there were wrestlers from other promotions in there.
Well, why weren't they number 1, number 2, number 3?
I don't know.
Well, why?
They didn't ask me for my thoughts on the list when they were making it, Johnny. I don't know what else to tell you. I didn't get the call from SI.
I take nothing away from WWE. Top shelf, good product, although the product is questionable. I've been getting little clips from that on people, Cena trashes WWE programming. I don't trash anything. I just say the way I feel. And you know what? My opinion is my opinion.
One man's point of view.
At least I have the guts to say it's my opinion. Don't give an opinion that says, oh, I really never said that. I said it. I'll stand behind what I said. I'm not afraid to do that. But I would think that you would take professional wrestling in general, all the promotions out there, and say, after analyzing this, and the fans have voted, you want to make up a phony poll? Do it.
Like I said, it takes a lot to surprise me. And that one really, really, really surprised me.
You see what I did? I got walked.
I thought you almost did. You say you did something else there for a minute.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I'm sorry. I just said, whoa, hold on, stop.
And hopefully, I'm sure there may be some that watch this and will come up with the social media headline that Sasha Banks was bashed. I'm not attacking the human being. I'm not attacking what she does. I just think the way she does it, it's not as believable as a lot of her contemporaries, whether they be male or female. I think most women cannot compete at the level of the men. And I know that's something we may disagree on to some point, and let's call a spade a spade. A man's body is built different than a woman's body. That's why I continue to be the proponent of, I think it's time that WWE puts on its big boy pants and says, you know what? It's time to release the WWE, like the WNBA, which gives these tremendous female athletes their own platform to compete on, and they have nothing to be compared to. They do their thing. The best of the best rises to the top in the WNBA. I have no idea why WWE hasn't done that. If there is such a large fan base for these female athletes, I think they would go crazy for it. Where Raw becomes such a drag and is so boring to watch for 3 hours each and every week, why not take maybe the first or the last hour and turn that into WWE?
You want another Glow.
No.
Glow wrestling.
Glow was tongue-in-cheek entertainment. I want an athletic presentation. I want the Oscars of professional wrestling out there, and I want them to take the best roster they can put together, not on split brands, make it its own brand, and let these ladies shine. And if it sinks, it sinks. If it's a success, they have yet another hat to hang. It's another great success to discuss on Wall Street. We've created yet another brand for us to monetize, the WWE.
So would you say that perhaps that brand ought to be handled by Stephanie McMahon?
I think it should have they have people totally separate from any of the men's
and John
brands.
Cena Sr., because I've been an advocate for, I'm just throwing myself
course.
out there. That'll never happen. But, I might disagree and might agree at the same time. For you to say that you want to have women wrestling under their own banner, under the WWE, makes sense, and then you intermingle that again with your pay-per-views. Not separate
I'll give you
pay-per-view.
that. That's fine.
Okay, I think then I would concur. I think maybe if you want to prove a point, let's prove a point. And the other thing I would say is, you talked about us being bashed about Sasha Banks. Well, can I say this? We have the ability, they have the ability, the fans, to send us an email saying who they would choose. Who would you have chosen? Who would you have chosen as professional wrestler of the year?
Who would you have chosen,
What
Johnny?
do you think of Dan's idea of WWE? You know, Worldwide Women's Wrestling Entertainment. What do you think about that? Are you open to that? How do you think the fans' response would be? You know what? I don't just want it from you fans. There must be some indie wrestlers out there, some pro wrestlers who watch this. What's your real opinion? Don't be afraid. Nobody's going to say, Drew McIntyre, John Cena Sr. said. Let's get it out there.
Well, Seth
you've got
Rollins
the opportunity.
blocked us, so, I mean, you never
What's
know.
that?
I say, remember, Seth Rollins blocked us. Baron Corbin blocked us, so you never
Who did?
know. Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin.
When you unleashed on him a couple
So
of
where's
years-
Baron? You seen Baron around lately?
He's on SmackDown.
Yeah, but
still,
how big is he now?
He's still about 6'7".
Yeah, but where's the draw? And you talk about women's wrestling. Please. You know what? What's your favorite saying? Another story for another time?
Another story for another time.
But I
with
won't
the Baron.
disagree with that. If you want to see if it works, let's give them the last hour. Let's give the women the last hour.
Or
and
the
see what happens.
first, one or the other.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It'll be like a warm-up match. So let's do it. Let's see what we can do. No problem for me. Maybe, you know what, Vince, here it comes. Why don't we have that 1 hour? Stephanie's in charge, and let's do an invasion angle on Raw or SmackDown. There we go.
Especially the few weeks. Think of how excited the fans would be to see the interaction from the Raw women, the SmackDown women, and maybe a few of the higher tier NXT women. I wouldn't bring all of the NXT women up at the same time for the obvious reason that they're still in, a lot of them are in NXT because they still need seasoning. But if you take the higher caliber athletes from all three brands and you create, just think of the action-packed hour you could create, not a 2-hour show, not a 3-hour show, a 1-hour show each week with the best athletes that at the end of that hour says, you know what? I can't wait for next week's episode. When was the last time you said I can't wait for next week's episode watching Raw or SmackDown?
I'm not disagreeing with you. Isn't it amazing? I'm agreeing with the
It's
bearded wonder over
2021.
here. I'm agreeing with the Dalai Lama of Millennium Wrestling Federation, Boston Wrestling. I'm agreeing. Let's give it a shot. What do we have to lose except prove him wrong? And if I can do that, I'll be happy, happy, joy, joy. Believe me, I think the women can do it. I can think the women go out there and prove it. You know what, Vince? There's another storyline now. Sports Illustrated just handed you the storyline. Sasha Banks is number one. Oh, I can just see it written up now. You're number one. You're cool. Bang, bang, boom, boom. Let's put the heat on. Let's put the pressure on. Let's see how it goes.
So instead of being somewhat negative with the way we presented this story originally, turn it into a positive.
Positive.
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's give these ladies their own platform. And just imagine if it is a success.
I'll help.
Imagine even if it could do, again, it's been difficult for WWE's ratings as they've just continued to free fall in a lot of ways. But even if it could do 90% of what Raw is doing right now, I think that would be a great success for them.
Proper storylines, proper writing, I think you would have people saying, I can't wait till next week to see what's going to happen between Sasha Banks and Bayley. What's going to happen between Charlotte Flair and whoever, or Asuka. I think with the proper storylines, which they don't seem to have, could draw that kind of influence. And if it does, wow. And then when the pay-per-views come, we intermingle that. Maybe there's a little infiltration there. Who knows? But I can see it working. I have so much faith in these female wrestlers.
And I think there'd be so much excitement surrounding it, it would entice maybe some of the ladies that we haven't seen for a while to want to come back. The Ronda Rouseys, Trish Stratus, Lita,
Trish Stratus,
Becky Lynch,
okay. Ronda Rousey, no. Let Ronda stay where she is.
That garbage, the Bellas, maybe the mother could try and find another. Maybe they have an aunt that needs to marry someone.
Nothing against the Bellas. It's just that, what did I just say about the Kowloon? It's time to move on. Move on.
But let me ask you this, though, Johnny. I know you know the family at one point rather well. Do they have any aunts that need to marry into wrestling? Maybe some cousins.
Well, I get set up every time I come here. All I can say is this. God bless the Bellas.
Yeah.
You're good people. You really are. But
Have
I
a happy, healthy life away from professional
I
wrestling.
think no, but I think you know what? I think they understand. Mother, daughters, whoever, John Laurinaitis, who's part of the family, husband. I think now they've understood that there are children to raise, and there is life after professional wrestling.
Even though they're on a
Move on.
WWE reality show every week.
You know what?
Oh.
How much is it drawing, and how much are people really watching? You can do all you want. I can start a reality show. You can start a reality show. As long as there's one that turns the channel on, I've got a reality show. You know what? Move on. You've done the best you can. You've made a lot of money at what you do. Now it's time to be mothers or get that second career in line.
Well, maybe I'm still waiting to see you pop up on the Ms. and Mrs. reality show. When George and Carol accidentally walk in on you and Margot in one of the bedrooms.
Wow. I don't think, and I keep saying this, I don't think you'll see me in WWE anytime soon.
All right. Well, Johnny, talking about 2020, Cody Rhodes recently did an interview talking about the first full year of the All Elite Wrestling brand, and he was asked to give it a grade. He graded the company an A. No higher grade it could be given other than an A+. What would you have given AEW for a grade for its first full year of existence?
Maybe a B-.
That's pretty much, well, I would have said a B.
Yep, B-.
I think it was a great success that it happened. I think it's a great success story that it exists. I think it's a great success story that TNT has extended it for several years with apparently adding another primetime television show to go with it. Have there been errors along the way? Sure. But I mean, that's to be expected with any company that's been around the first year. Right. WWE, for those that want AEW and WWE in this heated rivalry, you have to remember one thing. WWE had about a 60-year head start in the game. You know what I mean? AEW, they're just learning getting the training wheels off the bike, so to speak.
Well, you know, you can say what you want, but when WCW was there and Bischoff had charge and they had the Monday Night Wars, it came pretty close to this 60-year-old company washing up. So, you know what? Nothing is impossible. I think, and I say this all the time, WWE is and will always be, in my opinion and others, the premier of professional wrestling.
The Coca-Cola.
There you go.
The Budweiser.
Never take it away from them, ever. But the fact of the matter is, and I think Vince would agree, that you know what? 2 or 3 furniture stores on the same street, always good for business. You know why? Because it makes you try harder. It makes you write stuff to beat the other guy out. That's why Monday Night Raws was so good. That's why the war was great, because you never knew what to expect. You couldn't help but tune in. Even when Bischoff said, well, here's the results of WWE Raw, you said, screw you, I'm still going to watch it. It was just that exciting.
For those 83 weeks, you know, Nitro won the head-to-head competition battles. Who knows what may happen in the future with AEW? While I say it was an awesome, outstanding success story, I would not give it an A. I think there were many, too many areas of improvement. I'd give it a very solid B, though.
Yeah, B,
and I
B
think
minus.
it's only on the up. It's certainly not on the down.
No. It's going to continue to grow. It's on the way up. I don't know if I get Tony Khan involved in it the way they're getting him involved now. Excuse me, on-camera appearances. It's like a Vince McMahon thing. But Vince had the character. Vince had the ability.
Tony Khan
I'm the man. You know, it was great to see that guy. And ratings went up when McMahon was on.
And I don't know if Khan has that type of personality.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He does.
Well, you know what? Again, we can only wish them great success. The greater success AEW has, the greater it is for professional wrestling as a whole. I just think Cody, I think he should have been a little bit more open-minded at the pros and the cons of what had gone on in the company over the year. A lot of great things, but, you know, there are a lot of areas of improvement, too, for a first-year growing company. Again, that's not a knock against them. They were just, there's some things on that show each week that I really like, and then there's a few segments on AEW. Sometimes I can't believe that they're even on national television.
Yeah,
they're so
like the
bad.
Jericho thing and the fighting in the lobby with the PubCon. That was stupid. That was absolutely stupid. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Anyway, I can say the same thing about the other promotions out there. So Impact, WWE, whoever's out there. So
Well, I'll tell you this. I really like the alignment, the business relationship between AEW and Impact. I think that helps Both
Smart move.
promotions, especially Impact, I should say.
Wasn't that a smart move?
Impact needs anything that can pump a little life into it. You talk about needing a vaccine.
100. What did they get? 500,000 more viewers.
Between all their different platforms, yeah.
500,000
television
more?
and social media, yeah. So it shows Kenny Omega, a man we had here in the Millennium Wrestling Federation way back in 2005, has turned into one of the, no pun intended, one of the elite athletes in professional wrestling. I think Kenny Omega is great. If I was Kenny, again, if you want to talk about grading someone, I wouldn't give him an A+ just based upon the fact that I think he's a little too comedic for someone with so much talent. I think the comedy should be saved for those that need it. When you're that good, you don't need the comedy. You know what I mean?
There again, I'm not the writer.
No,
there again,
well.
I'm not the character. I only know this. I only know this.
You just know how to shoot.
When you do WWE, I'm telling you right now, there is no deviation. This is the way it is. Don't deviate. And, you know, maybe he's got free hand like The Rock has, or Austin, or Cena, to do whatever you want when you're out there. You can see, you know, I think one of the things that is not taught in wrestling today is ring psychology and how to read the crowd. So if it's not working, Kenny, don't do it.
All right, and Johnny, before we go on this episode, another enlightening episode is always on Friday nights after SmackDown each and every week here on Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Friday. Your thoughts on the reactions around the wrestling world to the passing of Luke Harper, Brody Lee, and real-life John Huber. It has touched every promotion, it seems like, in every way.
I think we covered this on the podcast.
We discussed the passing, but not the reaction, which has been out of this world.
Unbelievable is all I can say. Shocked. Tremendous loss. It's so good to see his son in the ring, you know, following in Dad's footsteps. I guess he wrote his own promo. But it just is a tragedy to see a talent of this caliber, a man that never gave up, never quit, just said, okay, you don't want me here, I'm going here. And he began to find the niche, and it was beginning to work. And then all of a sudden, it's like somebody rings the bell. The match is over. Wow. 41 years old. Wife and 2 children, or 3 children. I was devastated, shocked. I watched this man work many times. I had the opportunity to see him backstage.
You had a vendetta with your son at one point when he was feuding
indeed.
with the Wyatts?
Yep, and I saw him take John one-on-one in Rochester, New York, where he was the favored son.
Yeah.
They just kind of cheered him and talked about Cena being booed out of the building. Wow. But there again, what a tremendous person, tremendous human being, a great loss to humanity and a great loss to the world of professional wrestling. I don't know what else to say.
Did you think we'd ever see a time where WWE talent would be tweeting links to the opposition's television show? I mean, I think that really speaks volumes right there.
It speaks volumes to the talent and to the owner of WWE. There was no, don't you do it, take it down, get rid of that. I think that, you know what, I think the thing that most people fail to realize in the professional wrestling business is that there is humanity. When I've worked with them, you know, they are people. They're not circus freaks. They're real people with real feelings. And when one of our brothers and sisters is hurt, we want to reach out. We want to let people know. Not just a select few of us, all of us want to let people know we loved you, we cared about you, what can we do to help your family and all this. Sometimes it's restricted. So it was so wonderful to see the love that came out of that. You know, I even teared up when I read it. I'm going, wow, what a loss. And to see that, I think it's outstanding. It says a lot about the men and women in the business and the men and women who own the promotions.
Yeah, and you know, WWE has used some of their non-televised platforms to do tributes to him on some of their talk shows and on WWE Network. So certainly they haven't allowed the man's memory to be forgotten either, and they've paid a nice tribute to him. AEW has certainly gone above and beyond, and I think it speaks to the character of Tony Khan to extend a contract to the 8-year-old son in 10 years, that if he wants to be active in the world of professional wrestling, he already has a contract signed.
It's awesome. And
that says a lot about Tony Khan, I think.
It's awesome. It really is. And you can see how when you open up your heart It opens up your mind, you know. And I just say to people, just let it go, open it up, and watch how the world begins to change. And you can already see it happening. So again, I'll miss him. I'm sure a lot of people are going to miss him. It's a horrible thing, but who knows when, where, or how. That's why every day you have is a gift. You know, that's why it's called the present. Enjoy it. Live it to its fullest. You never know what's around the corner. So go for it.
And before we go, Johnny, a gentleman passed away in this industry that was long before my time, and I thought maybe there was a chance when you were young, and you might have been familiar with him, one of the premier managers in the early days of the WWF, Bobby Davis. He was the manager of Buddy Rogers back when the company, during its inception, along with Wild Red Berry.
Yes.
Do you have any memories of Bobby Davis that you could share? Because I know nothing about the man other than he existed.
Wild Red Berry, I remember seeing, so I probably saw Davis.
When you were real little.
Yes, and so my recollection is, you know, excuse me, not as good as it would be for now or those I actually work with or had the ability to watch. So I can't really address the issue.
Well, I like to pay tribute to all of the greats in the business when they pass. Bobby, obviously. I bet he would have been a great interview in the studio for someone that was around during the inception of what is the worldwide leader of the genre right now, you know, to be, especially Buddy Rogers, who was the first WWF champion back in 1963.
I remember Rogers.
And Bobby, apparently, from what I had read and learned about the man after the fact, he was making several millions of dollars in the 60s off of real estate investment. So he really didn't need pro wrestling. He loved pro wrestling. So I think that says a lot about Bobby Davis.
We all love pro wrestling. And, you know, people say to me, why do you do what you do? Why don't you stop? Because I love it. Because I love the people I come in contact with. I love the people I see, the people I help. You know, and that's what makes you sad when we lose someone. You reach out to everybody. And you really are TV in real life. You know, people see, they go, oh, wow, can I do this? Can I do that? Would you take a picture? Of course. And that's what it really is all about. And that's why when that page turns and the book is closed, you kind of go, wow, the chapter ended too early. So, you know, I was fortunate to work with the Grand Wizard.
When you promoted some shows back in the 70s,
yes, when I did some promotion. And,
Ernie Roth.
Yes, I tell you what a great guy.
You liked Ernie?
He was a great guy. I don't know what you know about him personally. Probably don't want to know. But as far as being in the business and doing what he did, I mean, he was with Valiant. You know, I was there with Freddie Blassie. So, you know, I look back on that and I go, wow.
Do you have any old posters or programs from those shows that you produced?
I probably do.
I would love to see those.
I have an attic full of memorabilia.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
They would probably shock you if you went through it with things you've forgotten about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that when my bell rings, my sons will do what everybody else does. There'll be a dumpster out front, and everything will just kind of
tell them to give me a call. I'll go over and help.
All right.
If you have stuff like that, it certainly doesn't belong in the trash.
I've got posters with Jay Strongbow.
Do you really?
With the Hot Punch.
Stan Stasiak?
Stan Stasiak. He was with the Grand Wizard, yep. I have posters like that.
Wow.
I actually have one of the Hot Punch that he used with the tape. I had a lot of fun.
I think they would look great on this set someday.
Well, I don't know where. I've got
hopefully it doesn't wind up in the trash, no matter where it goes.
My attic is full. So whether it will last or not, I don't know.
Well, even your collection is fabulous.
You know, there's one thing you have is memories. And I guess I say to people every day, you know, the success you have in life is not based on the dollars you have or the toys you have. When you leave this world, it's based on the number of hearts and people you touched. That's what really life is all about. That's how my success, that's what I want to be remembered for. Whom did I touch? Whose heart did I open? Whom did I bring closer together? Enemies and friends. That's really, to me, that's a successful life. Not millions and trillions, not books and bangles like you have. You know what? Good luck.
It's almost
on
like one of Cecil's land parties.
I'm not going there either. Where they serve Shaw's chicken wings.
All right, wrestling fans, we're running out of time. Again, if you're watching on Friday night after SmackDown, chat away in the premiere. Tell us what you think about the different topics discussed on this program. As always, help us keep the lights on. The Super Chat is open. Any denomination helps. It helps us bring more great wrestling superstars into this studio. As always, if you want the early, ad-free access to Wrestling Insiders each week. If you want the Studio Shoot Interview DVD library with classics from Sheiky Baby, Paul Bearer, Boogeyman, Kamala, Vader, and so many more that have passed on. If you want to help keep professional wrestling legends working now in month 10 of the pandemic, then for less than the cup of coffee that this man is drinking, head on over to patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Don't forget that the eBay store is always open for business with great collectibles. The link can be found in the description box below. For John Cena Sr., I'm Dan Marotti. We'll see you next Friday night at 10 to kick off Royal Rumble weekend. Until then, you and yours be well, stay healthy. Good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas, Wednesday, January the 22nd, 1997. In the opening contest, Savio Vega beat Bob Holly, replacing Vader. Rocky Maivia with the win over Crush. Flash Funk defeated Leif Cassidy. WWF Intercontinental Champion Hunter Hearst Helmsley retained the title over Jesse James. The Undertaker and Ahmed Johnson beat Mankind and Farouk. Stone Cold Steve Austin victorious over Goldust. WWF Tag Team Champions Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith retained the titles over the Godwins. And in the main event, WWF World Champion Shawn Michaels retained the title over Bret Hitman Hart and Psycho Sid in an elimination match. If you were in Dallas live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep wrestling legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed Studio Shoot Interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.